Our friends from Cunis RV and the Cunis RV Great Midwest RV Show, and I posted some stuff on Facebook. It'll probably pop up here shortly, but good to have you on board. Ben Kenny producing the program, by the way. If you want to get a hold of us, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. In addition to that, you can find us on Twitter at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. You can also track Ben down at Ben Z. Kenny over on Twitter as well, at Ben Z. Kenny. You can find him there, and you can find us numerous different ways. You can find us on Facebook fan page. Go to facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Twitch TV. You can find the link over on Twitter. You can get a hold of us on Apple iTunes, Spotify, and Google Podcasts as well. And don't forget about the apps. If you want to download WOZN, The Zone out of Madison, you can find us there also. Ben, was yesterday, sporting-wise, in the state of Wisconsin, not one of the ugliest days ever?
Oh, it was bad. I was going to start the show by asking you if you're ice skating.
No.
I figure the ice center probably has other things aside from ice skating.
Yes, the ice center currently doesn't have any ice. It is all melted out the door, and it is full of RVs, as a matter of fact, as we sit here today. But man, oh man,
that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah, and then for those who are on the live stream, you can kind of see into the ice arena a little bit and see the front setup for Cunis and some of the RVs and such. But that being said, where do you want to begin?
Is the Brewer season over? Are they dead?
It's not
over.
Time
to push the panic button?
No. I'll say this though. I can't tell you how many people said, "Same old Brewers." Same old Brewers. Can't hit, timely hitting. They had bases loaded yesterday. Rowdy Tellez grounds into an ending double play. They had some opportunities, but for the most part, they just couldn't string together hits. So, I'm getting a lot of the wash, rinse, repeat from people, and I'm thinking it's one game. Remember what I said, though, yesterday when Christian Yelich led off the game, and I said, I always hearken back to the movie Major League. And listening to Euchre say, you can always tell what kind of season it's going to be by the leadoff hitter. And then Willie Mays Hayes does that excuse me, tries to get out of a way of an inside pitch, and the bat makes contact. It dribbles down the third base line, and he ends up beating it out, and he gets on, and then he ends up getting picked off over at first. So that was kind of the way their season started, but they ended up winning the pennant. So the Brewers' first batter yesterday goes down an knee-buckling breaking ball in Christian Yelich, and 3 strikes, and he's out. And it pretty much went that way for the most part the rest of the game. But that being said, there was not much to write home about. And what's funny is I'm driving down because I'm going to the Bucs game last night. I'm driving down to the Fiserv, and I'm listening to different shows in the Milwaukee area. As God is my witness, one of the shows said, well, the weather was a factor. I'm just like, you're reaching for whatever pile of crap you can pull out of your pants, aren't you? Oh, it was the weather. And I'm thinking, well, that's kind of like when people say, the weather in a football game, it mattered. Unless you're a team coming out of the tip of Miami to 25 below in Green Bay, the weather's not much of a factor. Everybody's got to play in it. Everybody's got to do their thing in it. You got to hit, you got to catch, you got to pitch, and they're reaching for anything at that point. I'm like, you know what? It's opening day. They got beat. Call it a day. You move on. You get to the next day. You get to the next game, and so be it. Now, the Bucs stunk. Thanks to Peter Fegan, who came up to the box last night, and I got a chance to sit down and talk with him a little bit. The Bucs president, he's such a gracious guy and so good to so many people down there. And I had a great time. We had a great time in the Mick Ultra Suite, which I had never been in before, and it was really cool. It was really a neat deal. So that was, it started off great. We got in there, we sat down in our seats. We're sitting at this little bar that they have up there, and everything's perfect. And you're like, this is great. Now you just want to see this good game. And it was an ass kicking from pretty much the word go. I think it was maybe 2-3 minutes in, something like that. And then it was nothing, a whole bunch of nothing. At one point, the Bucs, when I looked up, the Bucs were shooting 15% beyond the arc. I mean, it wasn't like they were, one of 6. They were like 3 of 19 or 3 of 20 or 21. I mean, it was awful. And had it not been for Giannis just finally just saying to hell with this, I'm just going to start taking it to the hoop, they would have been blown out by 50 easy. And it was, the Bucks basically called the dogs off. The Celtics, they pounded a little bit, and even down to the end. Blake Griffin's such a jag, isn't he? He just is. But ended up getting a little testy with Giannis's brother. But I'll tell you this: you look at the record against the Celtics. The only game the Bucks have beaten the Celtics, I think they're like 2-5 in the last 7 or something like that against the Celtics. Against the Celtics, the only game they got this year was the game in which the Celtics basically rested everybody. And that was, I think, February. And the Celtics rested everybody. I'll tell you this, the Celtics just have the ability to outshoot and outscore the Bucks because the Bucks do not play any semblance of perimeter defense. None. They're just going to let you shoot. They're slow of foot. And a team that passes the basketball as fast and as efficient as the Celtics do, Bucks are going to struggle with them in the postseason. I don't doubt that. I think the Bucks are a really, really good team and probably the best team in the NBA overall. But there's always that one nemesis, and that's the Celtics. I don't know if the Bucks are going to be able to beat them. I mean, I hate to be the bucket of cold water early on, and I know people get on me for it about how good they are. But the Bucks got drilled on Christmas Day by the Celtics. They barely beat Malcolm Brogdon and company when they sat damn near everybody in that game in February, and they got beat almost by 50 last night. By 50. By 50. There was no fight in that team at all. By 50. It was terrible. It was an awful game last night. And then you got Mr. Davis.
Yeah, going into the port from the Badgers.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to add a bunch of guys, and with adding guys comes likely a significant drop in playing time.
Yeah.
With what we want this team to be, he probably didn't fit into the consistent rotation going forward. So I think it makes sense for both parties. Go somewhere where he'll start well. I don't think it fits next year. So it's not all that surprising.
Yeah, it's and he averaged about 20 minutes a game, 5-6 points a game. It's he'll go maybe to a smaller school, be a big fish in a smaller pond, maybe hone his skill a little bit more. But I know people were like, "Oh my God, Johnny Davis's brother's leaving." It's like, okay, just slow your roll. It's okay. It's you hate to see it because of legacy, but beyond that, okay, don't worry about it. No big deal. Nothing to see here. Move on. There's no ill will. He just wanted more playing time. It's not like he was mad. He just I'm sure he sat down with Greg Gard and said, "Hey, coach, what are your plans?" And Greg Gard said, "No, not going to get much more play." As a matter of fact, he lost his starting job. Jordan lost his starting job earlier this year. He had a starting job and he lost it. So I don't see this as some kind of major detriment to the program, or for those that want to point a finger at Greg Gard in some way, like that's some kind of, indictment of the program. No, this is just a guy who wanted more playing time, who wasn't getting it, who ended up losing his starting job, wanting to move on. So that's all it is. Nothing more than that. Nothing to see here. So Brewers lose. They're back at it again tomorrow. And you know what? It's only one game. I'm not concerned about it. No big deal. The Bucks losing.
No fun.
Yeah, I know. If people are jumping off the bridge, that's one thing. But the only thing you can do in the month of April is lose your division. You can't win it. You can just stay close, hang on until really the pack begins to separate in one way, shape, or form. That's it. There's nothing more to it than that. I know there's a lot of people that want to read a lot of stuff into it, but it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't. It's one game. One game. In a long. Remember last year they got off to the best start in franchise history. And we all remember how that ended. after they traded Hader, everything went right down to Crapper and was swirling a bowl. So I'm, hey, if you lose one and you win the next 10, who cares? I'll take it. Hopefully you just win the next one. You don't want to start off on some massive losing streak, that's for sure. But hopefully, remember, they ended up winning, 13 straight going into that Easter break, and then all of a sudden they lost 13 straight. So here we remember a lot of that stuff. Not worried about it at all. I think what makes it stink a little more is they got beat by the Cubs. I saw a lot of Cubs fans with the fly the W stuff yesterday. It's opening day. You have every right to get enthusiastic. But as far as being a Brewers fan, I think it might just be a burr under your saddle a little bit that you lost opening day and you lost to the Cubs. You get another win, you come back home, get some wins at home, you're good to go. Good to go. I know that's not the narrative you want to preach, Ben, because I know how you love the sky is falling. But when it comes to the Brewers and the inability to hit, and should they have left Burns in longer, and Burns gave up those 4 runs, and oh my God, he had given up quite a few runs in his last couple of outings, and Burns has lost it. They needed to get rid of him, and it's like, oh my God, just settle. Just settle down, people. It's all good.
I agree.
All good. Yeah.
There is one thing.
Yes.
And this is going to be my confirmation bias, just leading to an overreaction after the first day.
Okay.
But there's no way Jesse Winker can hit second on this team.
No.
In my opinion. And I said that when the lineup came out. It was the one thing that stuck out. The ceiling, if he hits, it's amazing. It's a low price guy that you think has a high ceiling and can contribute. But for the last 2 not been a very relevant hitter in the majors. Right. And then he comes out 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. It's like if Yelich is getting on base, you can't have a walking human strikeout right behind him.
Right. Yep. No, I completely agree. And that'll all get sorted out as the season goes on. It'll all get sorted out. So we are here. We're live at the Cunis RV, Great Midwest RV Show. We're in the Lakers Ice Center. We're in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. And it's pretty easy to find, actually. If you just, program it in, you're good to go. If you're in the area, you probably know where it is already. But no ice in here today, just a whole lot of RVs and campers and travel trailers and accessories and all kinds of good stuff. And already people coming in and milling around a little bit, even though the weather was kind of iffy this morning, specifically in this area as you get around the peninsula and you start up in the foggy area. But the fog's burned off for the most part. You're going to have a few showers. So why not come indoors? Come on indoors and walk through the Cunis RV, Great Midwest RV Show. Compliments of our fine sponsor, that is Cunis RV. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We got a lot of stuff to get to. By the way, when it comes to Aaron Rodgers news, none of it. Did you see, though, what the Fan had to say? WFAN in New York. I'll tell you what they said about the Packers. That's coming up next. Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Jeff, what was the final straw at home that had you call Pella?
When I walked into my son's room and there was frost on the hardware on the inside of the house. My wife was getting upset with the drafts coming through the doors. That was it. Putting new windows and doors in your home is a big decision. With all the options that Pella has, everybody on your staff has done a great job of making a really difficult decision super simple. And I can't wait to have it in my house.
Order today and get 0% interest for 48 months. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Gaze into the crystal ball. What do you see? A win, perhaps? This March at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, find your fortune with a share of $500,000 in cash and prizes. Play with your club card, and each Thursday you could discover thousands in reward play, or up to $10,000 in cash. We predict great things for you. Find your fortune only at Potawatomi. Visit paysbig.com/fortune5. Must be 21 years old and a club member to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. Glad to have you. The Bill Michaels Show. We are on the air. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Quick Trip. Quick Trip, don't forget, whether you're walking in and checking out the clean restrooms or you're going in for the milk, they have milk on special right now. $2.99 a gallon, limit 3. Limit 3 when it comes to our friends over at Quick Trip. And you can, don't forget, by the way, use your Quick Rewards card for almost anything. And you're good to go. We are broadcasting live from the Great Midwest RV Show here in the Lakers Ice Center. We're here in Sheboygan, courtesy of our friends from Cunas, who were just awarded the #1 RV dealership, state of Wisconsin. Just throwing it out there. We're just going with a blanket. Just, pretty much walk in anywhere and everywhere. Just say, yeah, we're #1. You can get it sewn on your underwear. You can get it sewn on a T-shirt, whatever it happens to be. There you go. They just were awarded that off of the customer service satisfaction surveys and stuff for 2022. So now you're walking in. All 2023, you can hang on to that title and keep the trophy for a long time. Not a bad way to go. And that's another reason to stop out, again, to the Lakers Ice Center here in Sheboygan. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Give us a shout. Jason says, you guys get caught up in the drama conspiracy. Not really, Jason. Not really. I don't know specifically what you're talking about. But I think there's a lot of storylines that you can look at. But first of all, let me say this. I don't think I've ever, in the history of my life, seen any episode, much less even a highlight of The View. So if you're watching The View, and you're going by the comparison of The View, I would suggest you turn off The View. So that way you don't even have a point of reference, because that's not what we do. Just an FYI. This one's from Jacob, who says, oh my God, can anybody bring back Ryan Braun? No, he's done. I know that people had that thought last year that maybe, just maybe, there could be a Ryan Braun sighting, but no, it's not going to happen. Hey, speaking of what WFAN in New York was saying, and I don't know if you had it. Ben, did you have a chance to see what FAN or read what FAN was talking about? About how the Packers are being completely unreasonable.
Oh.
We talked, what was it? I think last week we had our buddy Gerard on, and he was giving us kind of that East Coast discussion, so to speak. And there was some talk about what's going on and how they're feeling in New York. And you got to think that if the tables were turned, that they would be asking for a first-round draft choice if they had Rodgers and the Packers were only a quarterback away from bringing back the postseason to the fan base. You got to think that's what would happen, that would be the starting point or more for them to say, hey, we're not going to get hosed on this deal. If you want the commodity that you feel is going to put you over the top, then you should be willing to pay the premium. And if you're not willing to pay the premium, then don't jump into the ring. And, it's not being unreasonable. And Brian Gutekunst even stated the other day at the owners' meetings that, we might not get that first-round draft choice. We're working on it. We're seeing what we can do. There's a lot of different ways to kind of do this, though. If you want to think about getting the flip-flopping the 13th and the 15th and then taking a couple of second-round picks or something to that effect, that's not a bad way to go. If you're the Packers, I'd be willing to do that. But what you don't want to do is just walk away with one second-round pick for a guy that, the Jets fans are feeling is going to put them not only to the postseason, but into a Super Bowl. Why would you haven't been to a Super Bowl since 1969, and you feel like this is the piece to get you there? You would be willing to pay any premium at all for that at this point. Like, you're in no position to begin to quibble about something like that. And we discussed that the other day, so I don't want to go through it again, but I just, the attitude coming out of the East Coast swing, I guess is the best way to put it, is just kind of mind-boggling. It's kind of like, hey, you're Wisconsin, you're Green Bay, sit down, shut up, and take what we give you. And it's like, no, not really. I don't think there's any reason to do that. If you're Brian Gutekunst, I mean, not right now anyway. They'll come to an agreement. Something will happen here. Just wait on it. Something will happen here in the next couple of weeks. I'm not overly concerned about it. 877-867-1670. Then you've got the new mock drafts that are coming out and where everybody's going to go. Everybody seems to think that C.J. Stroud has now become the guy when it comes to the top spot in the draft. There's a lot of conjecture as to what the Packers are going to end up getting. I've seen the Packers take a tight end. I've seen the Packers take a wide receiver. I've seen the Packers take a safety or a corner. To me, I've always said, and will continue to say, it's just whatever the best available is. And it's boring to say it, but whatever the best available is, that's it. Nothing more than that. Just, because all you're doing at this point in time is you're trying to just stockpile talent, the best talent, to be able to get all this talent to kind of materialize within the next year or two to really kind of then jump up. And as the Packers did years ago with Ted Thompson, to be able to kind of jump up and everybody, the cream all kind of comes to the top together. That's just my thought, but what do I know? But they've got C.J. Stroud for most going number one, Young, the quarterback Alabama going number two, and then on down from there. Now, there's Anthony Richardson, who it seems like the Colts are going to take a quarterback, you would think. And is Richardson going to be that guy? Boy, did you see him get ripped in memes and such on his pro day, Ben?
Getting ripped?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah.
No, I saw him throw the ball impressively.
Yeah.
As I've stated on this show, I hate pro days. I hate throwing at pro days.
Right.
I hate covering pro days. I just don't think they're important.
The meme was that he couldn't read defenses. He couldn't throw to open receivers. He couldn't throw into a tight window. And the meme that was on, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was on Twitter or Instagram, one of the two, where he's just tossing the ball back and forth to an open, to a guy that's just standing about 25 yards away. And they're just tossing the football. And all the knocks on him, completely go away because he's throwing. They're just sitting there tossing. It's not like he's working out or anything. It's just tossing. So it was funny. It was funny that they had some of those out there for some of the people that had some knocks on him. I don't know what to make of him, to be honest with you. I've seen a lot of people talk about how his pro day was pretty good. A lot of the scouts said that he moved really well. He threw the ball really well. His arm strength was there. He had added some strength and added some bulk, obviously getting ready for the pro day. So, but I thought that there was this whole, I guess, group of Richardson dislikers, might be the best way to put it, that had him out there on Facebook or on Twitter or Instagram, one of the three, and had him, kind of some memes making fun of the guy. But I think that who do you think is going to be the best quarterback coming out of this draft?
Oh, I think it's Stroud, and I don't think it's particularly close. I mean, it obviously has to do with where they go and the coaches and what they're surrounded by. But I think if you control for all that, I think it's Stroud. The people that are detracting what Richardson can do is literally anybody that watched him play in college.
Right.
Because all the highlight plays are there, but I mean, the airmailing of 10-yard passes,
right,
15 yards over someone's head, and like he could turn out to be great, but I watched him too much in college to think that it's all going to be perfect.
I think Stroud is I just still have this question mark in me about Ohio State quarterbacks. I have had for a long time, and Stroud, he's not the same kind of runner at all that Justin Fields is. It's a different type of quarterback. He's probably more of your prototypical pocket passer. He can move. We saw him run in the national title game even. We saw him take off, and we saw him kind of get them down the field and at least put them in somewhat of position to possibly kick the field goal to tie the game up, but or win the game. But it was a terrible play calling. You can't even judge the end of that game for Stroud because the play calling was absolutely – Ryan Day's play calling was awful. It's like they got across the 50, got across the midfield stripe, and just sat on the football and didn't really try to pick up another 15 or 20 yards to help out their kicker, who had struggled on the kick. Even though he made it, he struggled on the kick prior to that, and you could see it. And for whatever reason, Ryan Day decided to sit on the football and just think that they were going to be able to, kick a field goal no problem. And then he just wound up and tried to way over kick it and just absolutely positively hooked it to the left. And that was pretty much the end of their national title hopes. But Stroud had moments in the game where he looked really, really good. He had moments in the game where he didn't look good, as if they put a lot of pressure on him and confused him a little bit. But, I think out of the entirety that is the NFL draft this year, him and Bryce Young, if Bryce Young was bigger, Bryce Young would be the number one overall. If Bryce Young had about, 5 more inches of height on him, but he'd be the number one overall. But there's a lot of guys, there's a lot of teams that are shying away from him because of his size. He's not that big a guy. So CJ Stroud will be the guy, but as the best quarterback in the draft, I think the most talent, that ability is Bryce Young. But I think because of his size, he won't get to the same. Even if he goes number 2, don't get me wrong. I think he would be a hands down number 1 if he was bigger. Would you agree?
Yeah, probably. But he isn't.
Right.
Which kind of goes to why Stroud, I like him more. Just as a pocket passer, as a quarterback. I'm not a big fan of the just because he went to Ohio State, he probably won't be good narrative. Because they're all different players that have come out of there,
right,
and they've all struggled for different reasons.
Right.
Is part of it that he throws to amazing receivers? Yeah, but you could say that about Alabama quarterbacks too. You could say it about any quarterback that plays at a big time college. Mm-hmm. I think he is the best pro prospect of any of the guys they've had. Probably more so than Fields, who I also love and I think will be good.
This one's from Marty, who says, at any point in getting Tyree Wilson, the edge rusher out of Texas Tech, if the Packers could jump up and get him. I like him. Are you going to jump up and get an edge rusher when you got Rashawn Gary coming back? I don't think you can ever have too many. If that would be who you covet and you feel like he's really somebody that's going to fit into your system, then yeah. Yeah. I know that some of the mock drafts have him going to Detroit because they've got him going as high as top 5, top 6. But if the Packers could get him, yeah. But you put him alongside a guy like Aiden Hutchinson from last year, the 6th round pick, James Houston as well, who they had. Detroit's very quietly putting together a pretty solid team over there. And if you add some additional edge rushers, which helps that secondary, yeah, they're going to be pretty solid. But if the Packers could get a guy like that, hell yeah, I'd take him. I'd never a top 10 pick that is of strength position, and you believe that guy can help your team. I have no problem with that, none at all. Don't mind that at all. This is from Jersey J, who says, "What about Christian Gonzalez, the corner out of Oregon? And again, you can never have too much specialty help. And you remember you got Stokes coming back off the ankle injury. and you are lacking because you lose Darnell Savage, even though you did pick up a safety, but you lost Darnell Savage, Adrian Amos in the secondary, but you're going to move Savage around a little bit, but you could never have too many good cover corners. None at all. So, I mean, right now you've got Rasul Douglas, Eric Stokes when he comes back from the ankle injury. Otherwise, you've got Keyshawn Nixon. You've got Keandre Thomas is another one. And Jair, obviously. Shamar Jean Charles, the 5th round draft choice from a couple of years ago. So you've got some bodies back there, but hell yeah, if you can jump up and get a guy that's supposed to go top 10, that's going to be a good cover corner, no problem with that at all. None at all. AC 877-867-70, broadcasting live. We're here in Sheboygan. If you want to come by and say hi, we're at the Great Midwest RV Show, brought to you by our friends the best RV in the state of Wisconsin. And so many different awards that make them number one, but they are the best. And if you want to come out and take a look around, whether it's a fifth wheel, travel trailer, all the different styles, models, makes, they carry it all. And I would say they probably got about 30 RVs and fifth wheels and travel trailers and small ones, antique ones, and all that kind of stuff, throwbacks, all inside the ice center. They even have some outside. So if you want to come by and say hi, absolutely, you positively can. Hey, if you're going to go watch the Final Four somewhere this weekend, you want to stop into the Social House on Lisbon Road, Menominee Falls, stop over, whether it's for some of the new menu items that they have, the music on the weekends, on Sunday afternoons, catching the Final Four, catching Brewers games, Bucks games, you name it. That's the Social House, West Lisbon Road in Menominee Falls. Stop in and tell them we said hi. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. We're glad to have you. Hey, don't forget about our friends this weekend, whether it's a Smoke on the Water out there on Okauchee Lake, Sloppy Joe's Saloon and Spoon, which if you're going to be heading out on Sunday morning for a terrific breakfast in a good old-fashioned Wisconsin bar, or if you're going to head out for a fish fry tonight, it's almost like you walk through their doors and there's an old-fashioned sitting on the bar for you, waiting for you. Make sure you stop out to see either place. Sloppy Joe's on Hubertus in Hubertus. That's just east of Holy Hill, or Smoke on the Water on Okauchee Lake, Wisconsin Avenue out there, and both of them absolutely tremendous places. Stop in and tell Joe and Ellen Hennis and the gang that we said we say hi. Let's do this. Let's get to the phones. 877-867-1670. Our buddy and Gerard out on the East Coast calling in. Gerard, how you doing today, man? What's up?
Bill, how you doing? You said it all, and you keep saying it and repeat and everything. FAN, you say they have a lot of ex-NFL guys doing stuff now. You wonder if they ever played football, these guys. If they haven't, you really wonder. Tiki Barber and Boomer Esiason, they make these trades up in the whole bit. And the whole thing behind this is, if the Packers, let's say they did trade Rodgers for only 1 second-round pick, you know what they would be saying on FA? Oh, the Packers are stupid. Look what they gave up. They're just dumb. They're hits. They're that, the whole bit. This is what they do. This is the game they play over there all the time. And I appreciate Goody trying to stick to his guns and the whole bit and trying to get the most that he can. And it really is bothersome. I don't listen to these shows, but I see it on podcasts and everything else, and I see what they tweet. And this isn't only them. There's some Packer guys that are saying, well, give up a 1 and a 5, get a 5 and all this other stuff. And I see that nonsense. And it really is nuts. And I'd like to make a comment on the Bucs. I'm a Celtic fan. Okay, I've been a Celtic fan and a St. Louis Cardinal fan as long as I've been a Packer fan. Okay, now look, the Celtics they played like garbage a lot to terrible teams this year. They really did. All right. Now the Bucs, they don't like the Bucs. I'm telling you right now, they really don't like them.
Right.
And that's why they almost beat them with the CYO team earlier too in this year.
Right. Yeah, they only won by 6. The Bucs only won that game by like 6, but they struggled with basically nobody on the floor. I mean, I think it was led by Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you something. There's always guys, Bill, and you played for a long time, all kinds of sports and everything. There's always guys that irritate you. And Giannis's brother runs his mouth. Okay, I'm not saying with Griffith and all that. Yeah, I'm not saying this is right or wrong or whatever. But there's nothing more irritating than a non-talent. Now, let's agree. The guy's not. He wouldn't be playing in the CYL. He would be playing in the G League if it wasn't for his brother.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Right.
Now, those kind of guys, when they start running their mouth and carrying on, they aggravate. Okay? You think you'd have more humility. But this is what happened. So, like I said, the things that happen there is because the Celtics really don't like them. They really don't.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why. And I don't like today's NBA to begin with. I think today's NBA is a joke. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I look, I think that when you talk about chippiness, let me say this. One thing, there is always, for whatever reason, there always seems to be something with it. It's like with Draymond Green, Blake Griffin, there's always something that they do, something that just kind of gets them. And it's for whatever reason, it always seems to involve a Blake Griffin or a Draymond Green. So again, last night that happened. I mean, I know Chris Middleton was getting frustrated as well, and things got chippy. So, but I agree with you 100%. These two teams do not like each other. And last night after the game, I don't know if they showed it, there was some guys, the hugs and the chest bumps and stuff, but there was probably a majority out of maybe, the 15, 16 guys that the Bucks, 14, 15 guys the Bucks carry. I'd probably say 10 of them left the court right away. There was no handshake at the end. There was none of that. It was just get up off the bench and go. Now, granted, the way the game ended, it was just dribbling out the clock because the Bucks weren't really going to do anything to begin with. But yeah, those two teams, I really look forward to what the postseason is going to hold, because it's probably going to come down to an Eastern Conference final with them. And that's the reason the Bucks have to win home court advantage. They have to be the number one seed in the East to keep the home court, because I think they're going to need it. The Celtics show no fear, none of the Bucks, none. And last night they were hitting their shots from the outside. They were over 50% for most of the game. The Bucks, like I said, at one point they were 14, 15% from beyond three, and it wasn't like by a little. I mean, it was by a lot. They stunk by a lot last night. I think they were like 3 of 19 or 3 of 20, 21, something to that effect, before they finally started hitting midway through the third quarter. And by then, Coach Budenholzer pretty much pulled everybody. And that's when, you saw other guys starting to light it up. Joe Ingles and Connaughton and Dragic and all those guys started to play a little bit more. But yeah, last night was a shooting clinic by Boston, and the lid was on the bucket last night for the Milwaukee Bucks, no doubt about it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us over on Twitter, do it at Bill_Michaels. You can hit us up via email, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. Hit us there as well. Stay tuned. Got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show broadcasting live up here at the Lakers Ice Center. We're in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, for the Great Midwest RV Show, brought to you by our friends at Cunis RV. Stay tuned. We got more coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others, time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or pirate ship or a sports-themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine. A place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes.
Crisp red apples with fresh strawberries. Cider Boy's Strawberry Magic Hard Cider.
Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. We are glad you're with us today. The Bill Michaels Show. We are live. We're here at the Lakers Ice Center, and we're in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, and which is this weekend the home of the Great Midwest RV Show, brought to you by our friends at Cunis and Cunis RV. Go to cunisrv.com. Also, don't forget our friends at J&L Tire and Service Center. They're out in Johnson Creek, and they can even handle trailer tires, as a matter of fact, whether you're a small minivan, or maybe you're going big rig over the road, whatever it happens to be, they can help you out. They're right there on the Johnson Creek exit at 994 and Highway 26. You can see them just north of the highway or even up in Watertown, and they are the best tire dealer, and they are fantastic. And like I said, whether it's an oil change, tires, brakes, or big rig repair, whatever it happens to be, they can do. And trust the best, and trust people who, one, are unbelievably honest, and they just get the work done. They get it done as inexpensively as possible, and they do it right. And you can trust them in the sense that they are going to do it right, and they try to get it right and do their best to get it right for you the first time. Very honest about stuff. I love that fact about them. So good stuff from our friends over there at J&L Tire and Service Center out in Johnson Creek and in Watertown. Good stuff. 877-867-1670. This is from Mark. Mark says, hey, guys, the wide receiver position can be fortified with running backs out of the backfield. No, it can't. You can have a passing game, but you don't fortify it with running backs out of the backfield. You just don't. If anything last year taught us, was that you have to have a downfield threat. You have, first of all, you got to hit open guys. No matter whatever the defense gives you, take it. But if you're gonna back guys out of the box, if you're gonna actually back safeties out of the box and keep corners at bay, then you got to have some sort of a downfield threat. And swing passes out of the backfield on the constant, that's not going to get it done. I mean, it'll help you for a little bit, but you still have to have the threat. And if you don't have the threat, then you're in trouble. Then you're going to have to do a lot of things where you're going to get creative, and that's where really the onus becomes Matt LaFleur more than anything, because then it's crossing patterns, rub routes, things like that, inside slant, quick hits, where they're very difficult to get off if you have 4 down linemen are coming or just holding tight near the line. It's hard to get that stuff inside. So no, you can't rely just upon using your running backs as wide. So as much as I get it, you just can't do it, unfortunately. 877-867-1670. I got more emails to get to if you want to chime in. Also today, come and talk with Todd Rosiak here in about an hour and 10 minutes from now. We'll get his thoughts on Brewers baseball as the Brewers get knocked off yesterday down at Wrigley, and it's one not overly concerned. You hate to lose opening day, you hate to lose to the Cubs, but the combination thereof should not dampen your spirits regarding the 2023 baseball season. It's one game, don't worry about it. No big deal. And with this team, now granted, you got to score runs to win games, but with this team and the old adage of baseball being you're only as good as your next day starting pitcher, that's fine. You got really good starting pitching. Not worried about that at all either. So you should have pitching that can stop a losing streak and extend a winning streak. But again, you got to be able to hit the ball pretty consistently, and you actually have to plate some runs if indeed you're going to win more games. But they will. I'm not worried about it. They will. They'll win games. No need to panic. Ben, by the way, Ben, I had a couple people ask me last night, are you still playing golf this weekend?
Oh, yeah. No doubt. The forecast doesn't look great.
I was going to say, the forecast doesn't look very, very beneficial, does it?
That's never stopped me in the past. Yeah, I'm playing. No, Sunday should be okay. Should be high 30s, I think.
Okay.
Low 40s.
Yeah, that's not bad. As long as it's not windy. I can handle colder weather.
Very windy.
Is it? Oh, well, then to hell with it. I'm inside. Ain't going to happen. Not going to do that. If it's raw and rainy and windy, nah, I'll spend that inside. I'll watch on Saturday. I'll watch the Final Four. I'll watch some baseball. Sunday, you've got Bucks basketball. You've got more baseball. I'll watch all of that. I mean, God love you for wanting to venture out into the raw elements, but yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Well, number one, it's the first round of the year. Number two, the excuses are clearly already built in.
Right.
So we're just out there for vibes, nothing else.
Just to be able to kind of, maybe sniff the grass, to feel that, to smell that smell. Is that what you're going out there for?
No, I got a new golf sweatshirt. I got shoes kind of recently. It's a big day.
I remember when I was a kid and my dad would take me down to Cook Sporting Goods, which was the place to go in Cincinnati. And he would take me down and about every 2 years, 3 years, we'd go down and get a new ball glove and get a new first baseman's mitt or a regular glove. And it was always about maybe this time of year or just a little bit earlier, maybe the beginning of March. And I'd go down there and I'd get the glove. And all I would do is sit in the house, look out the window, and I'd throw a baseball into the glove. I'd throw a rubber ball against the wall in the basement, just over and over, anything to break the glove. And it's just, you couldn't wait to get outside and catch a fly ball out of the air, something that was coming at you a little bit harder than what you were throwing it off the wall in the basement. And a rubber ball, you wanted a hard ball. You couldn't throw a hard ball against the wall. Mom would scream because it kept knocking in the house. She would scream. Plus we were going to bust the bricks. So you couldn't wait to get outside. I get the sense that that's kind of your feeling right now. You can't wait to get outside, try the new golf shoes, put on the new golf sweater, shirt, jacket, whatever, and swing the clubs. That's probably where you're at right
Yeah.
now, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't think many people care.
Well, ESPN Steve just gave you a public service announcement. He said, "Hey Ben, just to let you know, Dunham's having their yearly Croc sale, 25% off." And I have to admit, I did see that. I was in Dunham's the other day. I was picking up some more weights for the weight bench that I just bought, and I did see that right down the middle, all types, colors of all types, logoed Crocs, camouflage Crocs of all Crocs of all types, right down the middle of Dunham. So. And I was going to take a picture of it, and I thought, I'm not going to go there. But Steve did. Steve, you're the man. Let's do this.
I don't need Crocs.
The people are all. Are you reading the live stream?
No.
Yeah. Jason's like, hey, don't forget your Crocs. Steve's telling you, don't forget the Crocs. So,
grow up.
Cunis RV, just named as the #1 RV dealership in the state of Wisconsin. Stay tuned. We got more coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
While the Milwaukee Brewers go Cubs at Wrigley Field 4-0. Corbin Burns would go 5 innings, giving up 4 runs on 4 hits while walking 3 and striking out. Milwaukee didn't get anything going against the Cubs starting pitcher Mark Stroman. Rookie Bryce Terang, the first of his career. The teams will take today the finals of the series this week. Last night, Celtics at the Pfizer. Added 30, while Giannis only get 24 points, shooting just 11 of 27. The tier now is at 55-22 when they host the 70s. College ball, Wisconsin's guard Jordan. 18 games of the season. On May 11th.
Have you ever had the choice to accumulate wealth compensation or E29? That's the choice between paying for a bachelor's degree that may not even of great wages. You're worth so much more. Go to liunawisconsin.org/join to learn how to accumulate wealth instead of debt.
They hired at Minnesota State Mike Hayes. Minnesota Sports Zone Network. I'm Ebo.
The Bill Michaels Show. We're broadcasting live at the Lakers Ice Center out here in Sheboygan. It's the Cunis RV, Great Midwest RV Show. And they have all different types of RVs, different brands, and travel trailers, fifth wheels, motorhomes. Some diesel pushers are out front, and you name it, they've got it. They've got financing here on site, all the different accessories that go along with it. And one of the nice things this morning that we found out was Cunis RV was just named the #1 RV dealership in the state of Wisconsin. So also, there you go. Good stuff. If you want to give us a shout, it's 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. By the way, Ben, I know yesterday we talked about the Gwyneth Paltrow trial. Now, were we going to do this in what did we miss today?
We were, but we could do it whenever.
I actually went and looked at some of the footage and some of the stuff being said. And this guy, was he an ophthalmologist?
Optometrist.
Optometrist. What a jag.
Yeah.
Did you see this guy on the stand?
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Oh my God. They actually like cut him off. They stopped him from like, he was so bizarre. It was clear that all he was doing was trying to get money. I mean, it just became clear. Didn't she? Now, I don't know what the final verdict was. Did she get her attorney's fees covered by him in $1?
I don't know exactly what she got. I just know that she won.
She won. He did not. There was he apparently had a GoPro on his helmet, and which recorded everything that day. But the footage of him crashing into her, or her crashing into him, mysteriously vanished. I did not know that he was a black diamond skier. She was on a bunny hill with her kids and an instructor when apparently, at least according to witnesses, he ran into her. Some say almost on purpose. And then when he took the stand, remember, he said he couldn't, his quality of life had been diminished. Did you see they hit him up with his own Instagram pictures?
Yes.
They're like,
it was incredible.
Oh, they're like, here you are here you are here. He's just this world traveler. He's doing all this different stuff. And remember, they said that he couldn't. One of the things in life that he loved was wine, and then he couldn't taste wine. And somebody actually, I think, had him like at an event where he was talking about the wine, like one of his friends on Instagram. It's like everything he claimed, he was just lying his ass off. I mean, that's the kind of guy that you would just like to say, sir, you're going to go to jail. You're just filing a false claim to try to grab money. It just, this guy just deserves to go to jail. He is a scumbag. Where's he from, by the way?
I don't know, but I believe he lives out there in Utah.
Does he? Okay. Oh my goodness.
He probably made his money being an optometrist for the rich ski people.
Yeah. Well, he's a scumbag. I can't imagine anybody going to this guy anymore. He might have not only ruined his own reputation.
Oh, he's retired.
Oh, okay. Then he's got his money in the bank. He doesn't have to worry about it. I can't imagine what he spent on legal fees for this whole thing. But you and I talked about it yesterday, and I thought, I'm going to go take a look at it. So last night, oddly enough, when the Bucks were just getting beat, I mean, just drubbed, I thought, I started surfing the phone a little bit, and some of the stuff that you and I talk about every now and then, God knows Google's listening, popped up on my phone. And I started reading about it, and then they had some of the stuff that was on Twitter. The video was on Twitter, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy's, he's off his own attorney. He went into like Epstein's Island?
Yep.
When they said, why are you suing or something to that effect? And he said, well, something about you holding celebrities accountable. And then he goes into this whole thing about molesting children. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? His own attorney was like, okay, we're done. Okay. She knew he was off the rails and he was gone. And that there was, they weren't winning it. There was no sympathy. He was gaining nothing by opening his own mouth. And yeah, it was terrible. David says, as Gwyneth Paltrow was leaving the courtroom, she looked at him and said, I wish you well, or something like that. At least she had class on the way out the door. Oh, it was terrible. So anyway, I just wanted to bring it up because I did pay attention to it. I did get a little bit of that last night when I was sitting there watching the Bucks get drilled, and you got nothing left going on. And I felt bad. It was a hell of a night. We had a great group of people that were in the Mick Ultra level, and everybody was fired up. And I have never seen. Now I've been to Brewers games. Now, granted, maybe it's a smaller fan base because you're talking 17, 18,000 versus 35,000, 32,000, or whatever it happens to be. But I'll tell you this. I don't think there was anybody in the Fiserv last night that wasn't wearing a jersey or a hat or a jacket or pants or something that didn't say Bucks on it. Or there was a smattering of Celtics fans, but I might have been the only person. And they went old school last night. They went back to the purple and the green. So I had thrown on a purple dress shirt just because. And in a polo and like a zip up vest. So everybody thought that I was going the old school because they did the old school Throwback Thursday last night, and I wasn't. It was happenstance that I did that. But I have never seen. So I mean, I've been to Bucks games before. Last night was weird. It was like everybody just came out. They turned out in Bucks gear last night. Bucks gear was everywhere, and the bars were packed last night early on. I will say one other thing. It's a sad state of affairs that all the bars and restaurants in that area down there. Now, I didn't stop over to Calderon Club because I know they're okay, but a lot of those bars and restaurants, they had half the place was empty, but there was like an hour wait, and it's because they don't have enough staff to be able to accommodate the people coming through the door. That was what they were telling people. Was you'd walk in and you'd see a bunch of tables. You're like, oh, this is great. I can get a table. They're like, no, we're on an hour wait. Like, wait a minute. It's only 4:30. What are you talking about? They don't have enough staff to cover. That's sad. That really is. That's a sad state of affairs, man. Downtown Milwaukee, that is your crown jewel showplace, and you can't open up the bars and restaurants in the area fully because you don't have enough people that want to come to work. That's a sad state of affairs, man. Anyway, this is from Dennis, who said, I'll watch the Bucks against the Celtics. Buck looked like Purdue last night. Celtics much more physical, tougher, better shooters, and have more discipline than the Bucks do. Triple team Giannis, and others then must attack the basket. They did that last night well. You know, a lot of teams try to, quote, build the wall, if you will. They've talked about the wall down low for Giannis, and they did it pretty effectively last night. Now, Giannis did get his, but he only played 2.5 quarters last night, and they built the wall and said, Giannis, you're not going to beat us, and everybody else is going to have to beat us. Nobody could hit a shot last night. I don't know what the final numbers were when it came to shooting the three, but through 2.5 quarters last night, it was almost embarrassing how bad it was. Almost embarrassing. But I'll say this, as bad as the game was, and this is just my take on the game, the in-game entertainment, the two announcers. Now, the two announcers try to be too cool at times, which kind of rubs me the wrong way. But you talk about the energy they bring. I mean, just, they keep going, come on, Bucks fans, and almost sounding like Dickie V, screaming and yelling. And last night, there weren't many fans having any of it. They didn't boo the Bucks at halftime, but you heard a smattering. You heard a few just because it was just awful. Down 30. And then there were people in the suite rooting for the Celtics to get to 50, to beat the Bucks by 50. Like that was going to be more humiliating than the 43 or 47 that the Bucks went down by. Like if you got to 50, it would be so humiliating that the Bucks would then suddenly turn it around and come out with a vengeance the rest of the season and roll all the way through the postseason and into the NBA Finals. Like that was going to be the turning moment for and it very well may be. I mean, I know Budenholzer after the game said this is one you got to remember, but man, that was just an ugly game last night. Scott says, how's the atmosphere at the Fiserv compared to the Bradley Center? Bradley Center seemed like basketball played in a hockey building. Bradley Center seemed subdued at times, even when it was packed. Remember the Bradley Center back in 2002, 2001 was named by the Sporting News the best basketball fan base and arena in the entire NBA because of how loud it was. And I remember back in the day when George Karl would come out of the tunnel. George Karl would get a standing ovation. And it was just because they finally brought winning basketball back to Milwaukee. He would get a standing ovation. But they played a lot of those videos last night in Throwback Thursday of Ray Allen and Sam Cassell and Big Dog. And they had Scotty Williams last night doing the light it up on the big screen. But George Karl used to get a standing ovation. I mean, it was electric, the Bradley Center. But you're right. It was a very cavernous building that was built for hockey. It was almost flipped like it was upside down. The majority of seating was upstairs as opposed to downstairs. So it was a great place to go, and it was sad to see it go. I mean, when you compare it now to what you have in the Fiserv Forum, I mean, you go up top to the Potawatomi Lounge, which is way upstairs and just beautiful, stunning. The Mick Ultra level, which is just awesome. And then you've got the BMO Bank area. I mean, just so many cool spaces inside that building. And The only thing that they've got is where, and I've known about this for a while, and I heard some people last night complaining, but you got to use the app to order your food. And if you don't have it or whatever, you got to end up putting it, you got to put it on your, you got to get downloaded on your phone. And then, obviously you have to order the food for your section and your seat, and then you, with your name, and you go up and you pick it up, and it's basically hands-free, which is kind of nice actually. But beyond that, it's a terrific place. I love the Fiserv Forum. Been to many a games. Love it down there. We gotta get like a group section down there. We got to do that one time. Maybe up in the sixth man area, something like that, where we can just take a bunch of listeners and 2 or 3 rows of listeners and throw them alongside, or throw them right in front of or right behind in that seating area, in the bar seating area behind the cheering section. That'd be great. It'd be a blast down there. Be good stuff. 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, please feel free. This is from Jacob. Jacob, the pessimist, says Corbin Burns gets beat. Yelly can't hit. The team strikes out. Grounds into double plays. Same old Brewers. This is the way the season is going to go. Prediction of 83 wins or less. I'll take the less. Council needs to go. This is an awful team, and the owner needs to sell it. There you go. Jacob, the pessimist.
Let's go.
Jacob, the pessimist. Already coming out of the woodwork. 1 game into the season, they get blanked 4-0, and he's ready to have the owner sell the team. Well, he's been ready to have Mark Antanasio sell the team for years, but be careful what you wish for. You could have an owner come in that basically is buying it just as an investment, and they want to buy it and then sell it in 10 years. Doesn't want to spend much money, doesn't want to go for a championship, doesn't want to do much of anything. Be careful what you wish for, just so you know. This portion of the program brought to you by our good friends over there at Steel Tank Brewing in Oconomowoc, right there behind the Exonia Bank, right off of 67. Terrific food, good fish fry coming up tonight out there too. That's our friends at Steel Tank Brewing, and keep looking. They got a big music venue they're building on the west side of the building that's going to be able to hold about 500-600 people. So looking forward to that when they finally get that thing done and debuted as well. A big music venue is going to open soon. That's Steel Tank Brewing Company in Oconomowoc, right behind the Exonia Bank. More of the Bill Michaels Show live here in Sheboygan coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. We're glad to have you, the Bill Michaels Show. We continue on, and got to say thanks to our friends at the Irish Cultural Heritage Center, the ICHC, which is a terrific place. And I've been talking about it for quite some time since they came on as a sponsor. But the ICHC is just an awesome place. And if you are looking for a place to go, whether it's to have a wedding, check out some of the music that they have there. They have bands coming in there all the time. You can go to ICHC.net. That's ICHC.net. And it's open to everybody. It's not just if you're Irish or not. I mean, you can go in there. Doesn't matter. But stop by and see our buddy Corey, 414-345-8800. They do fish fries in the pub in the back on the weekends. They have got, like I said, bands. They've been doing it 30 plus years. They're really a nonprofit. It's not like it's a really expensive place to go. They just do it to kind of, welcome people in and keep the doors open. But if you're looking for concerts, weddings, meeting space, they have it all. ICHC.net, or just call Corey, 414-345-8800. 414-345-8800. That's the Irish Cultural Heritage Center. They've been around a long, long time, and they're good people. This one is from Jimmy. Jimmy says, hey, guys, at what point would the Packers pull Aaron Rodgers back and not be willing to trade him away? Jimmy, I don't think that would happen until I don't think it would happen. I think it would be more a question of if the Jets would decide to go in a different direction. But I don't think that would happen. If you're talking permanently, I don't think that would happen. But let's say you get past day one of the NFL draft, that Thursday night, April 27th, that thing comes and goes, then most likely you're probably not going to get a deal done unless you get some kind of another two-team, three-team trade that, one or two teams that jump into this mix. Maybe that becomes prevalent then, and it kind of sweetens the pot on day two. But at that point in time, if you can't deal Aaron Rodgers by then you can break that dead cap money. You can break that up into 2 different years. You can break it up into this year and next year. So it would then probably behoove the Packers to wait until after June 1st to trade him away, you see. But as far as pulling him back and not trading him, I think as long as you have a willing partner to dance with, you'll dance with him. Because I think there's a lot of water under the bridge right now. And this one, I got to mention this too. This is from Joe. Joe says, what is the bad blood between Aaron Rodgers and Brian Gutekunst? I honestly, I don't know the specifics other than the fact that Jordan Love was drafted. Beyond that, I have no idea. I don't know what additional issue, because remember, Rodgers had talked about how the relationship had been mended and things were really good. And Gutekunst talked about, Rodgers in a very positive light. So in a matter of like a couple of months, I don't understand. Ben, was there anything significant that we saw that suddenly made this thing to go from, hey, this is a great relationship and we all love each other, to I need to get the hell out of here, other than the fact that Rodgers took some kind of an offense to Gutekunst picking up the phone?
No, I think it was more spurned by Gutekunst trying to trade him or realizing that this is when he wanted to move on.
Right.
If anything, I think this is more the Packers deciding it than Rodgers. I think Rodgers came out and said he wants to play for the Jets after hearing what the Packers intended to do.
Other than that, I don't know why. I mean, if let's say talks completely broke down and the Jets ended up out of nowhere will say just going after Lamar Jackson and trying to pay Lamar Jackson. And Lamar decides that that's where he wants to go. And the Ravens say, okay, we'll let you go. Okay. If that were to happen, then could Rodgers then, in essence, go back to Green Bay? Sure, he could. I don't know if he would want to, considering it was a team that tried to move on from him. Remember, Matt LaFleur is staying out of the fray. He doesn't want to get into this mess. He's trying to stay away from this whole thing. So, Rodgers could retire. He could say, you know what, if it's not the Jets, I don't want to play for anybody. He could just walk away from the game and then do it after June 1st, and then you could split that cap money up over 2 years. But beyond that, there's nothing that would say he absolutely positively cannot play in Green Bay again. It would have to be a want to. Would you want him back? And now remember, did they say officially, yes, Jordan Love, hands down, is our starter for 2023? All they said was, we'll see, right? They never fully committed the statement to Jordan Love, right?
I'll go back to the press conferences.
Yeah.
I mean, the questions were, now that Love is the starter, what should our expectations be? I think it was inferred.
It was inferred, but I don't think they ever said, because remember Mark Murphy.
Do they need to say it, though?
Well, I think they don't want to say it, just in case. Remember, Mark Murphy said, when asked in the WIAA broadcast for the Girls State Basketball Championship, that, is there any chance for Rodgers to come back? And he basically said, look, if this breaks down, if this doesn't happen with New York, yeah, he could come back and be the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. But I don't think they've ever said, hands down, Jordan Love is the starter. I think they've just kind of said, well, I think they've been very diplomatic about that, trying not to pigeonhole themselves into some kind of a situation that they would then have to dig their way out of, just in case. I could be wrong.
Have Brian Gutekunst talking about
it. Yeah, go ahead. Play that, because I want to hear that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of unknowns, but certainly I think that's the way it's trending, and we're excited about that. I mean, Jordan's he's put in a lot of work. He's gotten a lot better. A lot of really good conversations with him over this period of time, and certainly we're trending that way.
Yeah, we're trending that way, but he never said. He said we're trending that way. It appears we've had good conversations, but he never said that that's the guy. He's never said that. And somebody was asking me about that. And I'm like, no, I don't think he's ever specifically. It's inferred. That's the implication, yes. But you can't completely shut that door just in case this deal doesn't work out and Rodgers still wants to play, whether it be for spite or money or love of the game or love of Green Bay, whatever. I mean, I don't think you can just throw that by the wayside. So to answer the question, yeah, there is a possibility, albeit 99.9% of me says he's going to be under center in New York. There is that possibility, but that's only if the Packers don't feel they're getting the value. Rodgers mentally has moved on. It's a done deal to him. It's a done deal. He's going to New York. But Paul says, would Aaron come back without his boys on the team? Don't know. I put it this way. I think it's a moot point. I think, in all honesty, we're talking about a situation that's not going to happen. They're going to get a deal done. And I've said it all along that if I had to bet my house, I would say that Aaron Rodgers is going to be under center in New York come the opener in September. Ronald says, if Rodgers retires, doesn't he lose the money from the contract that the team takes off and they're off the hook? The $60 million goes by the wayside, but the Packers are still $40 million of cap space, dead cap, that has to get paid. So if he does it before June 1st, they have to pay the 40. If he does it after June 1st, then they get some of that money back. By that I mean they can only pay half this year and half next year. It's like 15 and 20 something million, 16 or 17 or 20 something million. It's they split it up. You get a little bit of cap relief this year. So anyway. Scott says the only scenario that brings him back is if Love gets hurt in the preseason, heaven forbid, Look at what happened in San Francisco last year with Jimmy G. Nobody expected him to go back there until Trey Lance ended up going down, which is 100% true. But that's only if you don't get a deal done prior to the draft or just after June 1st. Because you wouldn't expect, because by the time you're into preseason, you're talking August, you know? Rick says, do the Jets even have $60 million in cap space? They would have, I don't know how that gets divided. I don't know what they do. Yes, to answer the question, they have made room so they can absorb Aaron Rodgers. And they've got some deals, from what I understand, that they could do just as the agreement has become more evident. Then they can go ahead and make some moves that, to kind of be able to afford Aaron Rodgers. But Rodgers has also said that he was open to restructuring too. But they can split that money up into a couple of years for Rodgers. So to answer your question, yeah, that's everybody believes he's going to be in New York. I don't think anybody believes he's going to end up in Green Bay. Just so you know. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, feel free. Go ahead and give us a shout again, 877-867-1670. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Potawatomi Hotel Casino, and they have got a sports book. If you didn't see the news coming out that starting, I believe it's today, this new sports book is opening up. But for all the details and such, go to paysbig.com. That is paysbig.com. Again, paysbig.com, Potawatomi Hotel Casino. They have stay and play packages. The Dream Dance Steak Bar, Steakhouse is back open. The 360 Bar is open. Bingo is back. Now they've got a sports book. I mean, so much action going on down in Potawatomi. Go down and enjoy it. And if you want to find out more information, go to paysbig.com. That is paysbig.com. Broadcasting live at the Lakers Ice Center. We're here in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. If you want to stop in and say hi, it is the Great Midwest RV Show, brought to you by our friends at Cunis RV, rated #1 in the state of Wisconsin. We'll be back right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Phil Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, you know that I love the ones that I've had put in my house, whether it's the big oversized patio door or the windows. If you're looking for curb appeal, if you're looking for more value in your home to solidify the value of your home, if you're getting ready to sell it, maybe you're looking for an economical factor, curb appeal, you name it, whatever is security, whatever it happens to be, they've got something for everybody, whether it's the vinyl windows, the Impervia windows, which is just as strong, if not stronger than fiberglass, and then there's the wood windows as well. That's our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Go to PellaWI.com. That is PellaWI.com. Or call them 855-PELLA-WI. That's 855-PELLA. Pella-WI. 855-PELLA-WI. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Matt, now the question is, and again, we're talking about probably a half of a percentile here for the chance of Aaron Rodgers actually going back to Green Bay. This is what Matt LaFleur had to say about Aaron Rodgers and that possibility.
Listen, that's all between Joe and Goody. I'm going to leave that one to them, and we'll coach whoever's on our roster, and we're going to coach them as the best of our ability, and always going to put the best players out there that are going to give us an opportunity to go win football games.
So there you go. That's it. That's simple. They're going to, he's not going to jump into that pool at all. He's not going to commit one way or the other. He just says, look, whoever we have, that's who we're coach. He's not going there, man. I don't blame him either, but ain't happening. Not at all. 877-867-1670. Back to the Brewers. Phil says, I think Craig comes back as the manager if he feels that the owner and upper management doing all they can to win. I think the Hader trade last year when they were in it left a bad taste in his mouth, and you see what they got back for him, and it makes you wonder, are the Brewers here to win it or just have a team on the field? And I think Craig wants to manage a winning organization and not just a dreaming team. 100%. If I'm Craig, and you bring up a great point, Phil, if I'm Craig, why in the world am I busting my butt trying to bring any kind of a championship back to Wisconsin when management's not committed to it? I couldn't agree more. Go spend time. He's made his money. He's been paid extremely well by the organization. If you feel they're not in it to win it, there's no, I wouldn't. If I've made my money, I wouldn't. There's no reason to. Take time. Go watch your kids grow up. Go watch your kids play college ball. See how their careers continue to blossom. Go enjoy yourself. Sit back, relax, enjoy a brat and a beer, and hang out and just watch baseball games rather than be a part of the managerial side of things and busting your butt and take it. So why in the world would you, if you're the Brewers manager and you don't have management committed to winning, why would you come back and take that abuse? On a daily, why would you do it? I agree with you. So if he decides not to come back and there's not other moves made and that much money in crypto. I don't know what he did or didn't lose. We can assume there's some because he was on the crypto platform, him and Serena Williams. But let's be honest. I mean, if you got 60 million laying on the table and it's yours, all you got to do is show up and play. Yeah, there does come a time of quality of life. That in a heartbeat. Unless you start breaking it down, you're saying, okay, 60 million, you take away, it's going to be. Oh boy, I'm walking away with only a couple 81 million. Okay. Nobody's going to leave that after taxes on the table. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I don't believe he would play for anybody. I think that he 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Find us again, 877-867-1670. Jackie says, if you really finally pick a good game to go to, you think it's going to be a great matchup, and then you go down to the Fiserv Forum last night and it's awful. Yeah, it was terrible. I don't know how else to put it. It was terrible. Not good. Not good at all. One more here. Chelsea says, how many people are screaming for Craig Counsell already, and they're only one game into the season, not wanting to see? Oh yeah, going on and on about whether or not Christian Yelich has completely lost it. That's the reason they're going to have him bat first and act like he's some kind of savior. Therefore, he doesn't have to put the ball in the air and hit home runs anymore because he simply can't. Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday a little bit as well. If he's going to be a leadoff hitter, then that changes the dynamic because he doesn't get the ball up. He doesn't launch it the way he once did. I mean, that power swing, Ben, I mean, it's just gone. It's just gone. Nothing else.
It's not good.
It's just gone.
I don't know. We'll see. It was one game. Who would I be to overreact to one game, Bill? No
Right?
home runs. That's fine.
Yeah, but it's just gone. have that in the early months in Chicago. When the ball is cold, the air is cold, the ball's not going to fly. So I completely understand all of that. It's not going to fly the way it once did. No doubt about it. So if he doesn't hit a home run in this series, who cares? I mean, again, the over and under on him, we called it at 18.5. I think others are now saying 16. We called it 18.5. We might have been giving him a little bit too much credit there. I feel good taking the under at this point. I'll tell you that. Not after one game, but just from, coming off of last season in which the power numbers were gone. But I felt good when they said 18.5. I'm like, I'll take that. Take that in a heartbeat.
We all know that only comes against the Pirates and the Reds, though. They haven't played them yet.
Mm-hmm.
So during those homestands, when he'll hit 4 home runs in 2 days, that'll get us there.
Right.
I'm confident.
Okay.
I'm really not confident.
Yeah, there's no way.
That's the side of the fence I'm standing on.
By the way, you do have baseball today. It's just not a lot of games on the docket. The Marlins, because they play in Florida, the Astros in a dome in Houston, the Padres out in San Diego, the Dodgers out in L.A., and then the Mariners, who also have a dome. All of those teams in action and hosting games tonight. The Mets on the road in Miami, White Sox on the road in Houston, Rockies doing the same with the Padres, Arizona Diamondbacks back at Chavez Ravine in L.A., and the Guardians on the road taking on the Mariners. Then you're back at it with a full slate of games tomorrow. Full slate of games. 1:20 first pitch from Wrigley Field. Woodruff on the hill against Steele tomorrow, by the way. Taking on the Cubs. And after that, you've got the Final Four tomorrow night. You got Bucks basketball. Always give you that. It does get rain. And K got that space. Throw that extra game back at it again tomorrow. 877-867-1670. You want to find us? Do it. 877-867-1670. And give us a shout. We would love to hear from you. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at New Mel Medical, treating guys with ED all over the state of Wisconsin, well beyond the borders. And whether it's ED or low T treatments, if you're looking for more energy, better mental clarity, better mood, better stamina, some weight loss, if you want to get into that area, they do the all-in-one weight loss program. So many things to make you feel better. Medical anywhere in at New Mel. Listening to the program, call them 414-455-4451. 414-455-4451. And that's the New Mel Medical Center. We have got more broadcasting. Don't forget to the top. Going to join us. We'll get the lowdown of Brewers all with him, but we are broadcasting live out here at the Lakers Ice Center. We are in Sheboygan. It's the Great Midwest RV Show, and we are here with our friends at Kunis RV. Go to Kunis, Kunes, KunisRV.com. They are they've been voted now, officially, it's official, the number one dealer in the state of Wisconsin. Number one dealer in the state of Wisconsin, and the biggest, baddest, and best. That's our friends at Kunis, Kunes, KunisRV.com. That is KunisRV.com.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
I'm Gina Della from Pella. Unparalleled service from beginning to end. That's the Pella promise. And it all starts with a free consultation right in the comfort of your own home. Don't imagine. See for yourself how Pella can help change the beauty and curb appeal of your home. Or visit one of our 3 showrooms where you can experience the latest in technology and design innovations, like the new hidden screen, exclusively at Pella. Don't wait. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. The Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. Hey, if you're in the state of Wisconsin, you're looking for a mortgage, a little help, or maybe you're going to refi, get a hold of our buddy Scott Ellis over at Team Ellis and Homeside Financial, 414, anywhere in the state, 414-791-7771, 414-791-7771. And right now, I know the interest rates are sitting at about between 6.5% and 7.5%, but he's got what's called the 2-1 buy down, and it can get you 4.5%. I'm sure your ears are perking up, huh? Go ahead and give Scott a call. He's just a good guy, and he's the guy that was there for me when I went through the refi of my house. And thank God I did when I did, and he was just available, and he was terrific all the way through the entire process. And I'm happy, so happy with what I got. So he can do the same for you. Again, get a hold of my buddy Scott Ellis, 414-791-7771, 414-791-7771, and Team Ellis over there. Let's see here. Matthew said, any suggestions to listen when Brewers baseball's on yesterday? The zone had, well, the whole thing with Rome and then Fox Sports and such. Now, I don't know what went on with KTY in the Valley over in La Crosse. I have no idea, but I know that they switched over within like 30 seconds on the Zone app, and it's something that we are well aware of, and the flagship station out in Madison they're dealing with. So, but other than that, I don't know. So I don't know what to tell you. I've always just said, hang in there with us. Hang in there. Just the first game of the season. You work out a few bugs, you're good to go. No problem. Austin says people still think Rodgers coming back to Green Bay. The ship has sailed. Both him and the team said their goodbyes. No, I don't think anybody thinks that's going to happen. It was just one of those. It was a question of what happens if this thing should happen to fall through. Is there so much water under the bridge that they could not go back? I mean, if they have to, you have to. So you can say the LOL or whatever you want to do and make fun of it, but Nobody's saying that that's going to happen. But if, let's just say, by some weird circumstance, this gets so torturously screwed up, just to the point where just both sides cannot come to any sort of an agreement, the Jets and the Packers. The Packers feel that Rodgers has got a lot of worth, and the Jets are like, you know what? They got tired of waiting, and maybe they move on to somebody else. At that point in time, maybe, there's a workaround, there's a workability there. But beyond that, no, I agree with you. He's not going back. But you just never say never, But like I said, I think 99.9% of me says he will be under center in New York come the opener. He'll be there for the Jets, without a doubt. Without a doubt. If he doesn't get traded, here's the other thing. Say he doesn't get traded to the Jets. Say the Jets decide and they write some kind of a crazy offer sheet to Lamar Jackson because they're tired of waiting. Well, then Baltimore would be in the market for a quarterback. And maybe they make a deal. So whatever the Jets would end up doing, that would then open the slot for another deal to be made with a decent team. I mean, I would think almost that the Baltimore Ravens are just as much in a good situation. Because really the only competition in that division for them would be Cincinnati. I don't think it's going to be Cleveland, and I don't think it's going to be Pittsburgh, although Pittsburgh's extremely pesky. But then Baltimore would be searching for a quarterback if indeed, say, the Jets went in the direction of Lamar Jackson and gave him stupid money. Baltimore, for less money, would probably be glad at that point in time to grab Aaron Rodgers and say, hey, look, we'll do whatever it takes. Now, they value draft choices down there the way the Packers do. So you may just maybe in a hand at that point, but then that would open up a space. So I agree with almost all of you that say, there's no way he's going back to Green Bay. I don't think so either, but I'm just throwing it out there. The question was thrown out there just to ask, to say what happens if this doesn't work out. So that's all. 877-867-1670. Phone line's wide open if you want to chime in. We got Todd Rosiak of the Journal Sentinel coming up after the top of the hour. We're going to talk with him about what went down yesterday and why we should not have people jumping off the bridges and going crazy and losing their damn minds over one game of baseball. So we're going to talk with Todd a little bit about that and about the optimism for the season and what he thinks this team could be. So we'll do that. We'll get into that discussion and so much more coming up just after the top of the hour. Hang in there for that. Hey, one other thing I wanted to say thank you to, and that is to BB. BB was out this past weekend. Her and her kids stopped into Buzzard Billy's. Loved the place. Loved the food. Loved the atmosphere. Her and her husband have been there many times, but upstairs at the Starlight Lounge. But just to let you know, the kids enjoyed the Friday night fish fry we went to last week. Buzzard Billy's great staff. And Heather says hello. Heather is the general manager out there. So tell Heather hello. Thanks so much, BB. I appreciate it. But Buzzard Billy's out there in La Crosse. Great place. And I've been singing their praises for a long time. But they're also a big sponsor of our motorcycle ride coming up on Sunday, September 3rd. Sunday, September 3rd, when we ride for the veterans and our friends at Fisher House, Wisconsin, for military members, veterans, and their families. So please put that on your calendar. That is coming up Sunday, September 3rd. And if you're a motorcyclist, start spreading the word. Because we're going to need, again, we're going to hopefully set a record this year, and we're going to need all your help. And you can also follow the page on Facebook. There's the Facebook page, and then we're going to have a new one created via Instagram, but you can find us over there as well on the Facebook page. And we're hoping to break another record again this year. We had almost 1,100 motorcycles last year, almost. But you can find it and follow it over on Facebook. The Big Units Fisher House Poker Run. And you can just Google it, and you'll see a picture of an American eagle and the flag behind it. Sunday, September 3rd, 2023. But find it there, and then you can track it down. All right, let's do this. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We got a lot more to get to. When we come back, Todd Rosiak of the Journal Sentinel is going to join us. We're going to talk with Todd about this Brewers team. What went down yesterday? Why you're a nut if you're panicking already. But some are coming out blazing. The season's only one game old, and, man, they're already firing on all cylinders when it comes to guns a-blazing, shooting at everybody. Let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break, come back, more. The Bill Michaels Show, broadcasting live at the Lakers Ice Center here in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, for the Greater Midwest RV Show, brought to you by our friends at Cunis RV. We'll be back right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Bucks pushed to the top seed in the Eastern Conference. Had a bit of a roadblock last night in the form of the Celtics. Boston came into Milwaukee, dominated, winning 140-99. Jason Tatum had 40 points. Jaylen Brown had 30. Giannis Antetokounmpo had a team-high 23 points, but was just 11 for 27 from the field. As a team, Milwaukee shot 37%. That came a night after hitting 64% of their shots against Indiana. The loss dropped Milwaukee's lead in the East to 2 games on Boston with 6 to play. Also cost them the head-to-head tiebreaker with the Celtics, if the two had the same record at the end of the year. Bucks will be back in action on Sunday when Philadelphia comes to Fiserv Forum. Turning to the Brewers, they also fell yesterday, dropping their season opener to the Cubs 4-0. Corbin Burns gave up all 4 runs in the 3rd inning, while the offense managed just 4 hits for the game. The teams are off today, back in action tomorrow at Wrigley Field. Brandon Woodruff going to make his season debut on the mound for the Crew. First pitch is set for 1:20.
For nearly 40 years, ABC of Wisconsin has been helping men and women transform themselves into well-paid, productive members of their construction teams. Today, we have 2,000 active apprentices in 10 different skilled trade programs, and we educate individuals in more trades than anyone else. To get your career started, go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
Well, the NFL draft is less than a month away. Things get going April 27th in Kansas City. As it stands, the Packers have 10 picks. That number could grow if Green Bay and New York are able to get a deal done for Aaron Rodgers prior to things getting going. GM Brian Gutekunst has said that the 13th overall pick isn't a necessity. They do want premier compensation for a premier player like Rodgers. Turning to the Badgers, they're back in the field for the 4th practice of spring tomorrow morning. Their practice is a total of 15 times over the next month. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Print.
Moving into hour number 3, welcome back to the program. We are broadcasting live at the Sheboygan Lakers Ice Center for the Greater Midwest RV Show, and it's brought to you by our friends at Cunis RV, voted the best RV dealership in the state of Wisconsin. That is our friends at Cunis RV. Good stuff. I tell you this, today they couldn't be playing baseball. It's coming down pretty good. Cats, dogs, buckets, that kind of thing. So today's a good day to be off. Brewers back at it against the Cubs tomorrow. Woodruff goes to the Hill for the Crew. Yesterday they get blanked, and to talk more about it from Chicago, our buddy Todd Rosiak of the Journal Sentinel now joining us. Todd, how you doing?
Hey, Bill, how's it going?
Well, it's going. I mean, yesterday was for all the people that were saying that they weren't going to have offense and they couldn't hit, and it was going to be same old, same old. Boy, those people had a voice yesterday. But give me your thoughts first and foremost. Yeah, yesterday I'm not overly concerned about. Talk about the team and this season, and maybe what the expectations realistically should be.
I think the expectations should be, I think, what they were going into spring training after they made the majority of their moves in the off season, which is to contend for a Central Division title. This is game 1 of 162. I understand the narrative out there. I understand, people panic after one poor performance, but it was game 1 in bad weather conditions on opening day. You turn the page and you move on. This is still a very good team with an excellent starting rotation. The offense is going to be a work in progress, I'm sure. People saw yesterday that it obviously was not clicking on all cylinders. I think the bullpen is going to be a work in progress as well. There were some good performances yesterday behind Corbin Burns from that unit. But one game certainly does not dampen, I think, what the expectations are internally by the Brewers, which is to compete with the Cardinals and what looks like a much better Cubs team for the Central Division title.
So let's go to Corbin Burns real quick. The last couple of starts that he had in spring training, not great. Yesterday, first couple of innings really good, and then after that struggled a little bit. Give me your thoughts on Corbin Burns.
I was communicating with a pretty trusted confidant today, and he made a good point to me about the pitch clock, and this has been something that's been worked on all through the spring. So it's obviously not anything that's a surprise to any pitcher. Everybody's been working on it for the last 6 weeks or so. But, once, the games start counting for real and you're really competing out there, it's probably going to take a little bit of time. And I think perhaps Corbin Burns yesterday in a normal situation without the pitch clock would have been taking more time. He wasn't always the fastest pitcher before these new rules anyway. So, maybe there's going to be a little bit of a transition period for these guys to get used to it. Maybe a guy like Brandon Woodruff tomorrow will be better with it. We don't know. But I definitely think that could have been a factor. Corbin Burns after the game, as he always does, steps up and takes responsibility for for how he pitches, and obviously was not a great performance out there. Another possibility to perhaps factor in is still trying to get on the same page with William Contreras, the new catcher too. That limited amount of time to work with him in spring training and still kind of, perhaps figuring out the kinks and so forth. But again, game 1 out of 162, way, 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 way too early to panic.
How has Contreras fit in? Just give me your thoughts on him through camp.
Really well. He got very high marks from Craig Counsell the other day when I asked about Contreras' camp. He said it could not have gone better. It's obviously a crash course for a guy like him who's new in the organization, coming in. Most of those 6 weeks were spent getting familiar with the pitchers, catching all the pitchers, learning how they want games called, what their strengths and weaknesses are. Watching a lot of video, and then there was a lot of work, of course, on the defensive side. And this is a guy that came in with not the greatest rep as a defensive catcher, and the Brewers have done a great job over the last few years developing guys like that. Omar Narvaez had that same rep coming in from Seattle in 2020, and they really completely flipped the script with him to where he was an all-catch, no-hit catcher by the time he left. So, working on the defense, working on the pitch framing, all those, finer nuances of the catching game, and kind of getting those squared away. Offensively, it was not the greatest camp for Contreras, but I think we all know that, the offense is going to be there in the long run for him. So I certainly would expect a good year for him, and a year where he's going to be catching really, the majority of time. So I believe he started 57 games at catcher for the Braves last year. I would easily expect that number to double this year with the Brewers.
Was there any thought? I know Ben and I had talked a little bit about it yesterday with Christian Yelich leading off, and then Jesse Winker batting early on in that lineup with Rowdy Tellez batting cleanup. Obviously, Craig Counsell loves to tinker with the lineup, move guys all around. But how much movement do you think there will be throughout the season?
I think Yelich, based on Counsell's comments yesterday and the day before, I think Yelich is pretty much going to be cemented in that leadoff spot. Of course, things are subject to change, a few months in perhaps, but beneath him, I think there's going to be plenty of movement. The alignment yesterday was just Craig Counsell thought that, that was the best way to generate consistent base runners. We all saw that didn't happen, obviously, but the goal is obviously to get guys on base consistently ahead of Rowdy, ahead of Contreras. Those run producers in the middle of the lineup. So I think what's going to be interesting and something to watch this season is down at the bottom of the lineup, you're going to have Jared Mitchell and presumably Bryce Terang a lot of days. Those guys could really be secondary table setters with their skill sets. Those are guys who are adept at slapping the ball, just getting on base anyway, and they have speed. So if you can get those guys on ahead of Yelich, ahead of Winker, if he's batting second, then then you could be in business.
The team itself, Todd, when you look at the division in which they play and you start to go pound for pound around the infield, the outfield, and such, they no, hands down, they got tremendous starting pitching. And I said yesterday, if guys hit, if Garrett Mitchell hits, if Christian Yelich can give you an average and get on base, if you can continue to do things like that, the only Achilles heel then would be the question mark in the bullpen. Would that not be accurate?
Yeah, I definitely think that if you look at the team as a whole, that would be the one major question mark right now. And obviously the most important role, closer, is filled, and they have one of the best in the game in Devin Williams. But beyond that, there's a lot of question marks, and I would assume that there's going to be a lot of shuffling over the course of the season until Craig Counsell is able to kind of narrow down his options, his most reliable options. Let's just say that. So it's going to be an interesting mix because there's a handful of guys like Joel Payamps and Bryce Wilson who do not have any options left. So your flexibility is limited with those guys. You have a handful of younger guys who are going to be able to bounce back and forth between the majors and the minors. So it's going to be a work in progress for a while, I think, trying to set the stage and set the run up to get the ball to Devin Williams when you're winning those games late. The big question mark to me right now would be the eighth inning role, that setup role in front of Williams. Presumably it was Matt Bush going into the spring, but he was, again, very homer prone, and obviously you don't want a guy like that pitching regularly in the eighth inning if you can help it. So that's going to be a role that's going to have to kind of shake itself out here, I would think, relatively quickly. And I think we could see multiple guys filling that role until somebody does step forward and show they can do it on a more consistent basis.
We're talking with Todd Rosiak of the Journal-Sentinel and talking some Brewers baseball. I want to go to Garrett Mitchell. Garrett Mitchell, a lot of expectation coming into the season. It's basically his job, the center field wise, to lose. I know there's a lot of hype for him. Don't get me wrong, but I keep thinking back to when we saw Keston Hiura come into the league, that initial series he had in Atlanta, which was so incredibly fantastic. The hopes were so high, and now he's clearing waivers and just hanging on to the team. What difference is there with Garrett Mitchell versus what Keston Hiura went through, for Garrett Mitchell to come in and just be given the center fielder's job to say, this is yours, you've earned it, no problem?
I mean, you're talking about really two distinctly different players. Keston Hiura was a guy who was a hitting prodigy, but really had no defensive spot. Whereas Garrett Mitchell is a guy, he's got a terrific throwing skill, defensive player, who needs his hitting tool to come around a bit. But this is a guy, again, like I mentioned before, who's very adept at kind of slapping at the ball. He can't hit the ball in the ballpark, but he's not afraid to, hit the ball on the ground, and he has the speed where he can beat out infield grounders. If the guys are not expeditious in getting the ball over to first base, he's that fast. So, I think Garrett Mitchell's overall skill set is way better and merits an opportunity for him to play every day. The question is, to me, is he going to be able to control the strikeout rate and keep that strikeout rate to a manageable percentage to where you can play him out there most days and feel like you're getting turned a corner a little bit there. That's a guy that's got experience in center field and has played the past few years and has some power potential. So there are other options if Garrett Mitchell does not work out, but I think there's definitely a lot to like about Garrett Mitchell. And I think fans, if he's able to stay healthy and fans are really
They've only got the one lefty out in the pen, Milner. How detrimental do you just one lefty in the pen will be? especially when you talk about middle relief.
I think the Brewers feel good about obviously you would like to have maybe at least one more, but I think the Brewers feel good about the right-handers that they have. Several of them are very good at pitching. They have very good numbers, very good splits against left-handed hitters. So you can kind of mitigate that a little bit. And as we all know, Craig Counsell is very willing to think outside the box, and he's never defined by, pitching matchups per se when it comes to matching guys up out of the bullpen. So I don't think that in the grand scheme of things is going to really handcuff them or, harm them in any way early. That could be proven false as time goes on, and then maybe they have to make a move or go out and get somebody. Really, the only other internal option they have as far as lefties in the bullpen is former first-round pick Ethan Small, and he's, I would say, kind of a ways away from getting back into that mix in the major league bullpen, just because he's transitioning from starting to being a full-time reliever. So I think that does put somewhat a bit of pressure on Hobie Milner, who had a heck of a year last year. If they can get anything close to what he did again in 2023 to what he did in 2022, that's going to be a real bonus for them.
Talking with Todd Rosiak of the Journal-Sentinel. Todd, before we cut you loose, the rules changes, the shift, there was a lot of talk about it yesterday during the broadcast about how this is going to benefit numerous Milwaukee Brewers players. Will it benefit the Brewers more in the division than it would, say, the Cardinals or the Reds or the Cubs? Because it seems like every team's going to gain some kind of benefit, which maybe it will, but I think all in all, the banning of the shift only evens the playing field for everybody.
Yeah, it definitely does even the playing field. It just speaking specifically to the Brewers, the one guy in that lineup day in and day out who, you would point to is possibly being or two guys, I should say, who would definitely benefit from it would be Christian Yelich and Rowdy Tellez, guys who have had a penchant for, really pulling the ball and oftentimes with Yelich hitting the ball on the ground to the right side. And, we tried talking to those guys throughout the course of spring, and I think it kind of got to be a moot point with them, and they don't want it to really get into their heads too much. But I think, overall, if they were, to speak freely and honestly, I'm sure they're both very happy to not see that extra guy standing in short right field moving forward. And even if you're talking an extra 5-10 hits per season, that really can make a difference on your final average when you wrap up at the end of the season. So anything that they can do, to benefit those guys, I think from their perspective is definitely a good thing.
Hey, one more thing, and I hate to bug you, but we were talking about the commissioners, and we were talking a lot about salary cap and such, and whether or not that would ever come around, and I highly, highly doubt it. But we were talking about Bud Selig. Bud Selig, he put in interleague play. He ended up with revenue share, steroid testing. I mean, you can go through a wild card. You can go through all of that stuff that Bud did. It's kind of his legacy, and he brought baseball back. So far, what can you say other than just going to the universal DH? What has Rob Manfred done that has made you say, wow, what a really good commissioner, if anything?
Yeah. It's, I know he's not the most popular guy. He doesn't have the best, what you would call a bedside manner. He's had a tendency to kind of put his foot in his mouth quite a bit. Maybe in some ways like Roger Goodell in that aspect. To me, I think so far the overall, if you look at the overall picture since he's been in power, I'm in favor of the rules changes, and not so much just like saying, hey, we're going to change the game for change's sake. I like the fact that he's open-minded and that baseball's administrators are open-minded about trying to make the game better and more appealing to a wider audience overall. I understand that there's always going to be those hardcore fans that want everything like it was back in, the 70s or the 80s or whatever. But to me, there's nothing wrong with trying to implement these small changes to speed up the game, to add a little bit more offense, to make it more than just, what we had been watching, which was the three true outcomes: a strikeout, a walk, or a home run, and that lengthens games. It quite frankly, to me, made it very boring. And this I think will even the playing field more for everybody. It will add more excitement, and it will kind of turn back the clock a little bit and free up the running game, and just make it a better game overall, in my opinion. So just the fact that he's been open-minded about those sorts of things, I think, is a good thing and a good legacy to have. Now, moving forward, will there be more changes? Perhaps. I don't ever see a way that they're going to implement a salary cap, or I don't know how they do that. How they even the playing field between the small market and the big market teams. It's something that just seems like it's is permanently broken. Hopefully they can figure something like that out. But in the meantime, I think the rules changes are a very good thing.
Todd, great to talk to you, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for the coverage, and we'll touch base throughout the season, okay?
You got it. Sounds
Thanks
good.
so much, pal. Talk to you soon. There you go. Todd Rosiak of the Journal Sentinel joining us for a couple of minutes at Todd_Rosiak over on Twitter. You can find his stuff there. Thanks to him for joining us, man. Some good stuff and a good breakdown of the Brewers. All is not lost after only one game into the regular season, a game in which the Brewers did not do much, admittedly, but nevertheless, all is not lost. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Robert's Specialty Meats in Waukesha. If you're looking for grillables, if you're looking for tailgate items, that's the place to go. Or maybe you're just looking for good chicken, some of the deli stuff that they have, some of the stuff like, salads, pasta salads, potato salads, you name it, they have that as well. They make it fresh there every day. Go to robertsspecialtymeatswaukesha.com. That is robertsspecialtymeatswaukesha.com on Sunset Drive in Waukesha. More of the Bill Michaels Show live up here in Sheboygan at the Lakers Ice Center. We'll be back right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others, time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or a pirate ship or a sports-themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine, a place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. Hey, don't forget about our friends at Master Z's. I know that we are getting into patio season, and I was just over there the other day. I'm looking at the possibility of doing a couple of backyard heaters on the patio, and they have that stuff. They have fire pit features. They have both that you can use with gas, some that you can just use natural with logs, and they have the Adirondack chairs. They have just incredible quality. The one thing about Master Z's is the quality of the stuff that they have is second to none. It just is. It's stuff that's going to last and last and last and last, and you're not going to be buying new umbrellas and new patio furniture and all that kind of stuff every year. So I've been saying for a long time, man, if you want the best, forget the rest. That is our friends at Master Z's on Blue Mountain Road in Brookfield. People come from all over the state to go into that place and to see Rob and his staff. Call them 262-746-5931 for all their indoors or in-store specials. 262-746-5931. And if you're over there tomorrow, you're probably going to see me because I'm heading over there. I got to look at a couple of different things for my patio. So I'll probably see you over there. But Master Z's in Brookfield, man, just what a tremendous, tremendous place. I can't say enough about them. This is from Tom. Tom says, I don't have any worries about the Milwaukee Brewers. They are who I thought they were. They're going to be a team that's going to win between 80 and 85 games. They're going to be a little bit below average when it comes to batting. Pitching is going to be the game that saves the day, and Craig Counsell will call it a career at the end of the season. They are who we thought they were. Ben, do you feel better after listening to Todd Rosiak regarding the Brewers?
I feel the same. I mean, deep down, that is how I felt about yesterday. While I started the show talking about the doom and gloom, it was mostly tongue in cheek.
Right.
Like, it is what it is. I mean, what sucks is obviously their loss was due to all the reasons that made us kind of scared going into the season.
Right.
But I mean, it's the first game. I still have my same concerns. I mean, at least they lost because Corbin Burns didn't pitch well, which is not something that you can bank on, I think, throughout the rest of the season.
Well, I mean, when you don't score a run, you're not going to win many games. So that's going to be something that's going to be kind of like a battle cry for many fans that say that there's something, innately wrong with the Brewers and has been for a long, long time with the strikeouts being prevalent and not being able to put the ball in play and such. But yesterday they had opportunities. They just didn't capitalize. And, as we tried to stem the tide of anxiety at the beginning of the show today, it's one game. They're fine. If we're talking 3 weeks down the road and they still haven't won a game, then I'm going to have a large amount of concern. But again, you can't win the division in April. You can lose it, but you can't win it, and you can only lose it if you are just flat out terrible. So just roll with it. It's going to be fine. There's a lot of enjoyable baseball yet to come. It's one day, and like I said, one thing that gives you anxiety is it was opening day, it was the Cubs, and you lost. And when those two things happen, it tends to create a high level of anxiety for a lot of people. For whatever reason, it just does. By the way, when it comes to the Brewers yesterday, just to throw it out there, I mean, you look at a team like St. Louis. St. Louis got beat too.
They got beat. The Blue Jays beat the hell out of them. They pounded out 10 runs yesterday in that ball game. Cincinnati ended up getting knocked off. Pittsburgh got the win 5-4. So oddly enough, you've got Pittsburgh and Chicago in the top spot of the division. Pittsburgh's happy as hell. When was the last time Pittsburgh was in the top spot of the division? Had to be when they were wearing those Super Bowl hats back in the late 70s. But Pittsburgh giddy yesterday. So Farmer took a loss. Zastrizny, I think is how you pronounce it. He ended up getting the win. And Bednar, he ended up getting the save for Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh's giddy. But again, it's one game. I'm not, for those that wanted to point fingers and scream about counsel and lineups and stuff, it's like you are just looking for a reason to be upset at this point. Just looking for it. This is from David. David says, people need to relax. They need to relax on the Aaron Rodgers front. They need to relax on the Brewers front. Everything is going to be fine. Rodgers is going to end up in New York. Jordan Love's going to be better than serviceable. Craig Counsell's going to be back, and this team is going to be okay. Just breathe, people. That's from David. Okay, let's and I just had somebody else say, let's talk about Jordan Love and how good do you think he can be. David said he's going to be more than serviceable. More than serviceable is almost a backhand. It's almost a back. It's kind of like calling a quarterback a game manager, isn't it? It can be. You can be a good game manager and win games in the National Football League, but it's almost a backhanded slap because you're not a prolific passer. You're not a big-time runner. You're not an athletic threat. You're just a guy that stands in the pocket, takes what the defense gives you, racks up some of your statistics, gets some wins along the way. You're a game or two better than 500, and you're probably finding yourself in the postseason. If that was the way the season would go for the Packers this coming season, Ben, would we not take that in a heartbeat?
I think we would, yeah.
In a heartbeat.
I mean, really, enough to make us confident not only in Love, but in Matt LaFleur as a coach. And if Joe Barry somehow is a good season, if all those things come together and they are just not good enough talent-wise on either side of the ball, yeah, I think we'd feel great.
Right? Yeah.
Anything to make the future look more clear.
Mm-hmm. I'm good. I'd be good with that. If he was more than serviceable and ended up getting this team in some way, shape, or form into the postseason, take that right now. I wouldn't consider that a failure by any stretch of the imagination, but I get where you're coming from. But, you know, and again, this goes back to Joey. Joey says, what does this team need if he's not all that? You need a defense. That's it. You need a top 5 defense. Can they be that? So that leads you to the question: do you give? The conundrum becomes: do you give Jordan Love? And I put this on the live stream earlier today. Do you give Jordan Love all the weapons? Do you just continue to go after, build up that, continue to go after weapons? Maybe 1 or 2 wide receivers in this draft, a tight end or 2 tight ends in this draft. Do you continue to give him the weapons, or do you say, I don't really know? So we're going to get maybe a tight end. We're going to get maybe a wide receiver, maybe depth on the offensive line, but we're going to go defense. Because I think there's a lot of Packers fans that are like, oh God, defense again. Every year we're building up the defense. Every year there's more defenders needed. How many times are they going to miss on the defense? But I think you got to have more defenders. I think you need more beef up front. You need another edge rusher waiting for Rashawn Gary to come back. You got to have more depth in the secondary, whether it's safety or corner. You got to have that. I mean, if you could 4 really good defensive front linemen that have the ability to play inside, outside, and rush, I'd take it. In a heartbeat, I'd take it. So I think there's a priority there. I think your priority is one, your first priority is probably a wide receiver, a tight end, vice versa. You can flip-flop them. Your second one's going to be defensive depth up front, an edge rusher to help you out with Rashawn Gary, and then probably another safety or corner or both, and probably in that order. And then after that, just fill in the rest of your depth. But I wouldn't reach. You take the best available. I mean, if the best available is going to be 5 left tackles, then I take 5 left tackles, because you just never know when you're going to need them. Take 5 left tackles. Do that too. 877-867-1670. We're broadcasting live at the Lakers Ice Center. We are here in Sheboygan at the Greater Midwest RV Show, which is being put on here by Cunis RV. We've been doing some business with them. This is our 3rd year together now, Cunis RV and us. I love it. got a new big unit. I don't think the Cruiser's here, actually. Somebody just messaged me that. Said, is your RV there? I don't think it is. I did not see it when I pulled in. I've seen pictures of it, but I did not see anything that looked like that when I pulled in, unless it's on the floor. I haven't looked all the way through the ice arena yet, but maybe it is. Who knows? Come on out. We're going to be here until 2 o'clock today. They have a nice concession stand open, food here. They're collecting for the Salvation Army. And not to mention, if you're an RVer or a camper, or maybe you just like the outdoor life, they have everything for you here. And they just got the award. They're number 1 in the state of Wisconsin. Cunis RV is, whether it's parts, accessories, service, or you're looking for a new or a used RV, travel trailer, fifth wheel, motorhome, whatever it happens to be, they've got it. Come on out. The Lakers Ice Center in Sheboygan. They're here today, tomorrow, and Sunday for the show this weekend. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket.
Welcome back to the program. Glad to have you. Hey, our friends at the Four Seasons Island Resort up in Pembine, Wisconsin. Not only are they they're getting ready to open full time for the full season now for the summer months, and the golf course is going to be opening up. The UTV and ATV trails are going to be opening up. The pontoon boat's going to go back in the water. So start making your summertime plans for the Four Seasons Island Resort and Pine Mountain Resort with the Timberstone Championship Golf Course. Either place, you can use the promo code Michaels15. Call 15% off. Call our girl Barb up there, 715-938-5110. That's 715-938-5110. I love that place. I love the Four Seasons. It's just got so much charm to it. Huge renovated indoor pool. And it's just got such a cool, eclectic place. The Boundary Waters Bar and Grill downstairs, I love. Upstairs, the lounge is great. The Diamond Room, fantastic. They got that really cool old 50s style ice cream parlor. So, and not to mention a golf course. So a lot of cool stuff. But Pine Mountain's no slouch. It's got the Famers Sports Bar and Grill in there, and that's got a lot of dedication to Tom Izzo and Steve Mariucci and such. So either place, you can't go wrong. And don't forget, right now they're hiring and have paid internships there. So if you want to send off your resume, send it to the4seasonswisconsin@gmail.com. That's the4seasonswisconsin@gmail.com. Otherwise, just call our girl Barb, 715-938-5110, 715-938-5110, 715-938-5110. Let's get back to the phone calls. Let's do that, shall we? We had Tad Rosiak on for a while and wanted to say thanks to him. Let's go to our buddy Derek listening to us in Albany. Derek, how you doing, man? What's going on?
Hey, Bill, I heard an interview this morning on WDUZ about the new coach. His name is Sundance Wicks. Boy, I'll tell you, that guy had me wanting to run through a wall. If if Ben could get him or you guys can get him, I'm serious.
Yeah.
I'm not being hyperbolic here. And you look up his resume, and they did a nice job getting this guy. I mean, he's coached at a few different places assistant-wise, and he coached his alma mater as a head coach for a while. And it says he hung his hat on player development. He also built the Arizona Power Basketball Academy.
Mm-hmm.
And prior to launching that, he spent 5 months training NBA pre-draft prospects. The guy's got basketball acumen. He's got so much enthusiasm. He was a great student athlete. I mean, the guy's the whole package. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
I don't live out there, but, I can listen to their games, and they're an underdog team. They're kind of like Siena where I am,
Yep. Tons of, I'll tell you this, tons of energy. You can go online and there is video of him like running through his guys, high-fiving his players to the point where I'm you'd almost like be like afraid of like ripping an arm off. He gets so fired up. I agree with you. I can understand you can get guys to run through a wall for you with that type of mentality coming out of Wyoming. Heck yeah. He's got a good track record for energy. No doubt about it.
Inspire the whole program. I mean, he had a pretty comprehensive plan laid out today. And anybody listening, hey, support the guy, really. I mean, support the program. I'm all for underdog programs. Like I say, I live in an area with Siena College and SUNY Albany, and we're underdogs too. So, with all this portal stuff and NIL stuff, I want to see programs like that succeed, and I definitely have an affinity for all things Wisconsin and Green Bay.
Yep, you definitely want to get to the point where, again, you're talking about all the basketball programs being relevant towards the end of the season. Now, I know out of the Horizon League, they're only usually anyway going to get one team in, but man, it's so good when all the teams are in the tournament and there's a lot of different basketball attention. Plus, the Bucks are playing well. I mean, it's just once football ends, it's a buzz type of season without a doubt. And I can't wait. I hopefully they can rise back to some sort of prominence. He's got a tall task ahead of him, but certainly the energy to get it done, no doubt.
Come on, Bill.
All right, bud. Appreciate it, man. He drops off. You get on board 877-867-1670, 877. Yeah, we didn't even mention that Sundance Sonny Wicks is on board now, and you can follow him if you follow his stuff over on Twitter. I think it's at Coach Sundance, if I'm not mistaken. At Coach Sundance, but yeah, a ton of energy, and you know what? We'll roll through the state again this upcoming season. We'll get Shock on, we'll get Sundance on, we'll head over to UW-Madison and try to get Greg Gard on and such, and UW-Milwaukee. So we'll try to take a look at all the coaches, no doubt. This is from Rick. Rick says, "Hey guys, let's be honest. Jordan Love's first year is going to be a learning year at best. Nobody can have high expectations of a guy getting his first real look under center." I think I would agree with you. I don't think the expectation should be very high. I think that Matt LaFleur has tried to temper that a little bit as well, because he is going to be highly scrutinized after such longevity of success with quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers, I think with the absorption of Mike McCarthy's system and taking over as the full-time starter, and then obviously with all the tumultuousness that went on in the offseason with the bring back Brett and Favre coming into town and then out of town and then being traded and such, and he retired and then wanted to unretire, and there was a lot of that, and Rodgers just kind of held his head up and stuck to his guns and did his own thing, and within 2 years he's getting a taste of the postseason, and in 3 years they're winning a championship. So it does take time. But if you have a really good defense that's coming together and that can kind of help support you, I know that some of the expectations for the prognosticators nationally seems to be that this Packers team with a couple of key pieces should be a playoff team this year. I think that's optimistic, but I don't think that's realistic. As much as because you start to look at this team and you say, okay, just in looking, let's start with the defense, because you got to start with a really good defense. Travarius Moore, who they picked up in free agency, he's come in, and he hasn't done anything yet, but hopefully he solidifies the safety role where Adrian Amos left off. Obviously, you'll have Darnell Savage back, and if he has a better season the way he did his rookie year and the way he played in the last couple of games of the regular season, then maybe Darnell Savage kind of turned himself around. There's Rasul Douglas, Keyshawn Nixon. You're hoping Stokes can come back. Now, you got some big ifs injury-wise, because Stokes, as was mentioned the last time he was wheeling his way around the locker room, he had needles and pins sticking out of his ankle that were still there and visible. So he wasn't even anywhere near ready to start doing football activities or even much less working out. You've also got Rashawn Gary, who's coming off of an ACL. And the ACL thing, you're never the same guy the year after the ACL. It's always 2 years after you come back from the ACL. That's when you start to return to being that guy again. So you don't know what you're going to get out of him. So you got to fortify the outside edge rusher position. You need help for TJ Slayton and Devontae Wyatt. Certainly TJ Slayton took a little bit of a step up. Devontae Wyatt looked good at the end of the year, but he needs even more kind of honing time. But if all of that comes together, do you still see this defense being top 5? I don't. We set our expectations way too high last year. I think maybe if you get this defense between 15 and 10, that's probably pretty good. And then you got to throw in the Joe Barry factor, that he doesn't like to be aggressive. He doesn't like to do that type of thing when this defense lived death by 1,000 cuts last year early on in the season. And then they lost Rashawn Gary, and it took them a while to overcome that. I mean, granted, Ngabari played extremely well and maybe better than what was expected of him. But, I just don't see, even with Preston Smith coming back and have a tremendous year, or Devondre Campbell having a tremendous year, I still don't see this defense being top 5. And if they're not top 5, then with a brand new quarterback under center, I don't see this team better than,
8-9 again. Maybe 9-8, maybe just on the outside of missing the playoffs, but that's probably the best they're going to be. I don't see them getting much better than that. 877-867-1670. If you see something different, tell me. I would love to hear from you. 877-867-1670. Again, we are broadcasting live. We're out here at the Lakers Ice Center. We're in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. It's the Greater Midwest RV Show, and they're here inside the Ice Center with our friends from Kunis RV. Voted Wisconsin's #1 dealership. #1 RV dealer, hands down. RVs, travel trailers, fifth wheels, you name it, they've got it. Diesel pushers, gas-powered, whatever. Come on out and take a look around and just start to dream a little bit about summertime, maybe the summer months and warmer months, and pick up all your camping accessories out here as well and all the stuff for around the campfire. Not a bad way to go. Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show broadcasting live out here. Our friends from Kemp's want to say, hey, don't forget, if you're looking for a job, looking for a career, go to Kemps.com, Kemps, Kemps.com. That is Kemps.com. And you can go to the bottom of the page, click on careers, Careers. Click on careers. That's Kemps.com. Go to the bottom of the page, click on careers. Based in Cedarburg, Wisconsin. Everybody knows Kemps. Their dairy products have been around the state for a long time. Since 1914, it has been Kemps. And you can be a part of the family. Go to Kemps.com and click on careers at the bottom of the page.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Jeff, what was the final straw at home that had you call Pella?
I walked into my son's room and there was frost on the hardware on the inside of the house. My wife was getting upset with the drafts coming through the doors. That was it. Putting new windows and doors in your home is a big decision. With all the options that Pella has, everybody on your staff has done a great job of making a really decision super simple. And I can't wait to have him in my house.
Order today and get 0% interest for 48 months. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. We're glad you're with us, and I want to remind you that our friends from Every Plumbing and Heating, they are in La Crosse, and they are supporting our motorcycle ride coming up on Sunday, September 3rd. And they were founded by a Korean War veteran, Clayton Every, back in 1969. And now Craig has taken over for Denny, third generation of the family to take over Every Plumbing and Heating. And they're hiring licensed plumbers with great wages, benefits, and they keep all the calls confidential for anybody who wants to call. So if maybe you're thinking about a great company to go work for and you're working for a different company, that's okay. That's okay. You can give them a call. They're serving La Crosse and Trempealeau and Vernon, Monroe, Jackson counties. If you're in, say, West Salem or Onalaska, Holman, Shelby, they got it going. That's our friends at Every Plumbing and Heating. Go to everyplumbing.com or call them 608-783-2803. 608-783-2803. Write it down, 608-783-2803. And that's our friends at Every Plumbing and Heating over there in the La Crosse area. So we say thanks to them for being a part of the program. This is, boy, we got a lot of emails today and just trying to kind of cut through a lot of this stuff. By the way, Jim says his wife takes care of the concession stand. Try the chili. Jim, I'll have to do that. Thank you very much for the heads up, man. This is from Thomas from Oshkosh, who is listening to us in Inglewood, Florida right now. Says, love the show. He said, he was never the same after the season-ending surgery, talking about Christian Yelich and the kneecap issue. And you're right. He never has been. 100% agree. You go back to even when he had the knee injury, signed the contract, COVID hit, the shortened season, never got back into a groove. The one thing you can hope for this year is that he gives you – now, I keep lowering the bar, which really sucks because it was a couple of years ago we were talking about him. You know, all you need to do – you don't need to hit 325. Just hit 285. Give us 25, 30 home runs, hit 285. And now it's down to just give us close to 20 home runs and hit 265. And, you know, and that's probably not going to happen because, as Todd Rosiak said to us a little bit earlier, he's now a bona fide leadoff hitter. And, you know, if he gives you a little bit of pop, great. But, boy, Ben, how far in just a few years has he fallen for the contract that he got at $29 million a year at the time, based on the 40-plus home run season he had? He got $29 million a year, and now he's relegated to just put the ball in play as a leadoff guy.
And get on base, which he does an okay job of doing.
He's 50% yesterday, 2 walks and 2 strikeouts.
It lines up with the back injury, right?
Yeah.
Like those things tend to have more of a lingering effect, or they can for a lot of guys.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with a hitter like Yelich, or you look at golf, someone has degenerative back issues that makes things nearly impossible.
Yeah.
So, not to make excuses, but I mean, it can be drawn somewhat to where the kneecap and the back. It's kind of a Carson Wentz situation,
right?
Because Wentz tears his ACL, and then for the rest of his career, for a while, he was bit by other injuries, resulted from the ACL injury.
Right. Yeah. Man, it's always in a small market. You give a big contract out and it turns out not to be good. You're stuck with it until you're no longer stuck with it. And in baseball, it's all guaranteed. We know. And, you know, I don't know. We've preached about it until we're blue in the face, I guess. It's the best way to put it. You just got to hope for the best. Hope still springs eternal. I'm still excited. I'm excited for tomorrow. I can't wait for Brewers baseball tomorrow. I got my day planned out. I got a dinner tomorrow night, but I got my day planned out. A little bit of a workout in the morning, come home, light a fire, hang out, watch some Brewers baseball, maybe sit in the garage and polish the bike and just stare at it and drool. Motorcycles are home. I'm happy about that. Another hour yet to go. We'll be back. More coming up right after this.
What's one thing you like about your Pella patio door?
What I like about my Pella patio door is that I don't need that stick in the track anymore to keep me safe at night. You have that little toe kick, locks the door, and I'm all safe and sound.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Form of the Celtics. Boston came in.
Crisp red apples with fresh strawberries. Cider Boy's Strawberry Magic Hard Cider.
Lead in the East to 2 games on Boston with 6 to play. Also cost them the head-to-head tiebreaker with the Celtics if the two had the same record at the end of the year. Bucks will be back in action on Sunday when Philadelphia comes to Fiserv Forum. Turning to the Brewers, they also fell yesterday, dropping their season opener to the Cubs 4-0. Corbin Burns gave up all 4 runs in the 3rd inning, while the offense managed just 4 hits for the game. The teams are off today, back in action tomorrow at Wrigley Field. Brandon Woodruff going to make his season debut on the mound for the Crew. First pitch is set for 120.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Get insurance from a company who knows Wisconsin and cares about your community. You may know Rural Mutual Insurance as the #1 farm insurer, but did you know they also offer competitive home and auto rates? Visit ruralmutual.com to learn more about products and discounts.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
The NFL draft is less than a month away. Things get going April 27th in Kansas City. As it stands, the Packers have 10 picks. That number could grow if Green Bay and New York are able to get a deal done for Aaron Rodgers prior to things getting going. And Brian Gutekunst has said that the 13th overall pick isn't a necessity. They do want premier compensation for a premier player like Rodgers. Turning to the Badgers, they're back on the field for the 4th practice of spring tomorrow morning. Their practice is over 15 times over the next month. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, print.
Welcome back to Bill Michaels Show. Final hour of the program getting underway. We are broadcasting live at the Lakers Ice Center here in Sheboygan. It is the Greater Midwest RV Show brought to you by our friends at Kunes RV, Kunes. Go to KunesRV.com. Over 1,500 units in stock. That's a ton of inventory. And they've had all kinds of accessories and such out here. It's kind of a camper's dream. And just to go and look at all the different floor plans, brand new, even vintage tow behinds, fifth wheels, motorhomes, travel trailers. Cool stuff, man. Cool stuff. Hey, if you're going to get out over the weekend, maybe even tonight for a fish fry, check out our friends at Sunset Grill on Pewaukee Lake. Sunset Grill on Pewaukee right there on Prospect Avenue. Stop in and tell them we said hi. Great place to go and watch the games this weekend as well if you're going to be out and about. The one thing that was asked of me was, did you see the Thanasis headbutt last night? Do you think he was wrong for doing it? I hate Blake Griffin. I didn't mind seeing Blake Griffin take one right in a snot locker. And that's from Artie. Artie, anytime you throw a headbutt, you're going to be wrong for doing it. Now, Blake Griffin was not overly egregious in grabbing him around the neck just to kind of prevent it. He didn't throw him to the ground. Look, let me preface this whole thing, okay, real quick. I'm not, nor have I ever been a fan of Blake Griffin. Never. He's always been kind of one of those players you love to hate. And he's not overwhelmingly dirty, but it just seems like him and Draymond Green, they're always involved in something. You know, when there's something on the floor in a game that's going on and they're participating in, it's always those two guys. Just always seems to. Okay, so but he was a tremendous player. Now he's relegated to the bench. But he's always got something going on. He did not grab Thanasis aggressively around the neck. He just didn't want him to go up and make an easy bucket. But at that point in the game, when you're up by 50, who cares? You know? So he wasn't aggressive, but the move itself was pretty much unwarranted at that point in the game. So Thanasis took exception to it, thus the headbutt, and then he ends up getting ejected from the game. And they got the ovation on the way out the door. I just, no. Should he have headbutted him? No. And let me say this. If you're going to do that, get your money's worth, man. Get your money's worth. Don't just give him one of those little pats with your forehead. Get your money's worth, man. But everybody else came to, Blake Griffin's defense. And and then Thanasis gets tossed, and he'll get fined, which I'm sure, I'm sure his big brother's got a little bit of cash laying around. He'll probably can pay the fine for him. But no, it's, I don't know what to say. That guy's not the best. So it's just frustrating to watch the Bucks go down so badly last night, losing 5 of the last 7 to the Celtics. 5 of the last 7 to the Celtics. And the one they won this year was a game that the Celtics kind of played the scrubs. I mean, their leading scorer was Malcolm Brogdon. Everybody else of ilk sat in that contest. And the Bucks, it took everything they had to win that game. So, do I have a nervousness when it comes to the Bucks in the postseason and taking on the Celtics? Yeah, I think it'd be crazy not to. That's going to be a hell of a series. If the Bucks are going to win it, they like last night they got out physical, but the Bucks had a bucket. I mean, they had a lid on the bucket last night. They could not hit a shot to save their life from beyond the arc. They were terrible last night. But granted, they had a few open looks. They didn't fall, but also the Celtics defense, as quick as it is, also harassed shooters last night. So you got to give credit to the Celtics for what they've done. They beat up on the Bucks on Christmas Day. They beat the hell out of the Bucks again last night. Will this loss, fuel that fury within the Bucks to say, okay, this was an embarrassment and we lost to them? But it is what it is. So there you go. 877-867-1670. Kevin wants to know if we've talked about the hire for Badger hockey. Ben, do you follow Badger hockey much?
Not really.
Okay.
I used to cover it back in my younger days.
Yeah.
But at this point, no, I don't.
They're just trying to climb their way back into prominence. Trying to get a few wins from where they were winning titles over what was it, about a decade ago? Maybe a little bit more? That they the men's team won a title?
It was before my time here.
Yeah.
I can confirm that.
Yeah. So I think it's been a while since they've had success, and then obviously firing the coach and bring in new coaches and such, and hopefully they get back at it. The women's program's fine. I know people do, in the grand scheme of things, it's Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. Maybe you could flip-flop the Bucks and the Badgers now because the Bucks have won a championship and have had success. Badger football, though, with Luke Fickell, certainly has put them back on the map in a big way. I don't even know what the expectation would be, should be, could be going into next season. But there certainly seems to be a huge level of expectation, almost an unrealistic level of expectation for the Badgers at this point, football-wise, going into the season. Certainly there's disappointment coming out of the season regarding Greg Gard and the basketball program, but going into next year, I think the seat is a little warm, and the expectation is top 4 in the Big Ten. I don't know if it's realistic or not, but I think people are like, okay, you've had a couple of years, a couple down years now, transfer portal, a couple new guys, young guys got experience. All right, now we want to see results. Now it's time. When just a year or two ago, Greg Gard's winning the Big Ten. It's I don't want to say spoiled, but it's become expected in the state of Wisconsin to get back to the tops in the Big Ten and back into the NCAA tournament. So anyway, there's a lot of things trending in the right direction. Badger hockey is not something that falls into the top 2 or 3 or 4 list. It's probably lower on the totem pole, but God knows there's a ton of pride in the Badger program from where it was to where it is. So I don't really have much of an opinion on it other than the fact that I've been to a few Badger. I enjoy it. I enjoy going to it. You're talking about some hockey at some of its purest level because it's not the professional fighting and such. And again, it's kind of like if you prefer the college game of basketball versus the pro game of basketball, So I enjoy it. I've had a lot of fun. 877-867-1670. Gary says counsel's not to blame for the Brewers players not being able to hit. That's ignorant. Talent acquisition and the scouting department is where this team is actually built. I never blame a manager for lack of hitting on a baseball team. That's why you have a hitting coach. And that's what you're paying players to do. If you pay players a lot of money and they are consistently throughout their career bad, and maybe they have one good year to earn themselves a contract, then you bought into them and you will never do it again. And that'll be the only big contract that they ever get. It just is. So I don't fault head coaches for. You can look at managers and say, okay, what are you batting a guy that's, got a seasonal 230 average for in the top 5 or 6? But for the most part, beyond that, there's nothing you can do. Managers, they write out the lineup. Unless you can start benching guys, if you've got a guy hitting 350 versus a guy hitting 230, and you keep running the 230 guy out there, okay, then you've got yourself some legitimacy. But beyond that, all you can do is put out the lineup the best possible way you can. Maybe you go lefty, righty, or maybe you try to put him in the best position to be successful when it comes to matchups and statistics and such, because God knows baseball is full of analytics when it comes to matchups. But beyond that, once they're out there, they're out there. There's not much you can do. You can't go hit for them, I'm sure every coach, every manager puts an emphasis on hitting, situationally, and just kind of grip it and rip it. And if a guy just simply can't make contact and the strikeouts are prevalent, well, then just a guy that's not seeing a ball very well. And certainly there's been a book on him, and, pitchers, and for whatever reason, have his number. But I don't fault a manager for that. Only thing you can do with a manager is talk about pitching moves. You can talk about putting guys in position to be successful. But I 100% agree with you. A lot of baseball is more about the talent acquisition and the ability for players to play than it is the manager. There's been many a manager that's been fired trying to go in and turn around a bad baseball team with bad personnel. People talk about Joe Madden. Look at Joe Madden. He had a pretty good baseball team in Chicago, a lot of talent, got that talent to finally play together and come together. Took a few veterans really to kind of guide that team and lead that team. And ultimately against Cleveland, they get themselves a championship. And it happened. Joe Madden happened to be a part of that. Then as the talent acquisition started to descend, some of those guys became free agents. They couldn't pay everybody. And all of a sudden, Joe's asked to do the exact same thing with a lesser team. And then he goes out to Los Angeles, hoping to put all the egos together out there. That's basically the Bermuda Triangle of managerial candidates. You go to the Los Angeles Angels, man, it doesn't matter the level of talent they have. They can't figure out how to win. Sometimes losing breeds losing, and the stench of it just becomes so obnoxious that you're just used to it, and things just happen. But when it comes to baseball, it's really batter versus pitcher, and everything else comes into play after the fact. Baseball's just a different animal. It just is. 877-867-1670. How much do you put on a manager? Ben, what was the study that managers can account for anywhere from a -5 to a +5, or like a 10-game swing in decision making, and that's about it?
I think that's the case, but with like the bad managers, I would say are it's easier to be worth -5 wins, I believe is what it showed, than it is to be +5. Most hover, a really good manager would hover in the +3 or 4 range.
Right.
And there are very few that get up to 5. But I mean, a lot of it is like the Phillies had a test case last year where they fired Girardi after a terrible start. They promote Rob Thompson, the bench coach, and then they take off. And part of that is, and not a single thing he did with the lineups or with any actual on-field coaching. It's just his vibe, which is very hard to quantify.
Yeah.
But there is something to be said there. But I don't think it would grow above 5 wins in either direction. I just think they needed someone other than him to be there. So that's a big impact you can have. But yeah, with Counsell, who I think is one of the really good ones, I would say he's worth a couple wins overall over the course of the season.
Just for the
it's
use
clear
of
his roster's not good enough.
Right. Just for the use of the analytics and the way he's been able to manipulate the roster between him and David Stearns over the years, they have really, I've said it many, many times. I think, and I'll stand by this, I think that Craig Counsell is one of the better managers in baseball. I really do. And I know some people would disagree, but I think he has milked the most wins out of some of these teams as he could. Between him and David Stearns and the roster they have, and the way they manipulate the roster and bring guys up and send guys down. I think that they have done a tremendous job at just milking the most wins out of this organization with what is considered to be good but not great talent by any stretch, and be able to compete with the teams that are able to go out and buy talent. And I know that that's not much consolation to many people who just want to see the team and the franchise win, but I really do. I think they have milked, and every manager makes mistakes. I'm not going to argue that, but I think they have milked the most out of this team over the last few years, few seasons that anybody could. Ryan says, "Can I get a 21 game?" Wow, 7-14. That's tough. If they start off that way. Just going to take a look real quick because I don't have the schedule sitting in front of me. So they've got the Cubs, they open up. Then the Mets come to town. The Cardinals come to town. The Diamondbacks are. Then they go on that West Coast swing. Oh, my God. They go to Arizona, San Diego, and Seattle before they come back home to take on the Boston Red Sox on April 21st. Arizona's not good. St. Louis is. New York is. San Diego is. I after the first 21, 7-14, 9-11 might not be bad. God, if you can just stay, 10-11, 11-10, somewhere in there, you're great. Yeah, it's kind of a juggernaut to start the season off with. No doubt about it. That might not be okay. I'll go a couple games better. I'll say 9-12. 9-12. First 21 games, 9-12, which would not be horrible. You'd like to see that flip-flop, but 9-12. We'll go with that. 877-1670. Hit us up again, 877-867-1670. Coming up here in about a half an hour. Stay tuned. We'll have What Did We Miss Today? Our good buddy Ben Kenny is going to be chiming in with some of the topics that we might not have covered today. By the way, we are broadcasting live out here in the convention, or not the convention center, the ice RV, K-Unis RV. It's the Greater Midwest RV show in the Lakers Ice Center here in Sheboygan. And don't forget, they carry everything from Jayco, Alliance, Coachman, Dutchman, Forest River, Gulfstream, Nexus. That's what we have for the RV this year. Keystone, Winnebago, Redwood, so much more. Whether a fifth wheel, camper van, travel trailer, Kunis RV has got you covered. And it was just announced, they are the dealership #1 in Wisconsin. Congratulations to them, and offering top dollar for trade-in as well. That's our friends at Kunis, K-U-N-E-S, Kunis RV. That is KunisRV.com.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Jeff, what was the final straw at home that had you call Pella?
When I walked into my son's room and there was frost on the hardware on the inside of the house. My wife was getting upset with the drafts coming through the doors. That was it. Putting new windows and doors in your home is a big decision. With all the options that Pella has, everybody. And I can't wait to the house.
Order today and get 40.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. It is a Fish Fry Friday, and if you're going to be out and about, especially out in Lake Country, the Oconomowoc area or up in Watertown, Stoley's Hog Alley, which is out in Lake Country, Stoles Old 109 in Watertown, voted by many in those areas best fish fry. They have a terrific atmosphere. Not that you're going to be sitting outside today, but they have inside and outside seating. And whether it's the burgers and the pizza, they or wonderful staff, they're friendly, cold beer, and Stoles Old 109 TVs everywhere with good live music. It doesn't matter which place you go to. Jeff and Alicia Stoll, they've got a lot of good stuff going on with both places. Venice Beach Road and Oconomowoc, better known as Summit, that's Stoley's Hog Alley, Stoles Old 109 on County Road R. That is in Watertown. Well, both places just tremendous. Stop and tell them, howdy, because they're just good people. Hey, what was I just looking at here? Where'd it go? So Ben, are you excited at all for tomorrow night in the Final Four? Because we've got a full slate of sports tomorrow. We've got baseball during the day and the Final Four beginning tomorrow evening, going into tomorrow night. Are you excited for the Final Four at all?
Are we paid in any way by CBS or anything
No, we are
related
not.
to the Final Four?
No, we are not. We are not.
Not really. No.
Okay.
It's just like UConn does it for me. I'm interested in them. They're really good, and they've ran everybody they've played off the court.
Mm-hmm.
But not one other team in this Final Four does it for me at all.
Right.
I'm not drawn to watch them. And it's awesome that they're making runs and it's exciting. I would love to have seen some of the top-notch teams in it.
Now this is if UConn wins and wins it all, okay, and you're right, because UConn beat Iona 87-63, crushed them. 70-55, they won by 15 over St. Mary's, the number 5. Then they went on to beat Arkansas 88-65, blew them out. They beat Gonzaga 82-54, blew them out. Now they face Miami. At the beginning of the tournament, remember when I took that picture and I posted it? I said, here's my bracket, and everybody, everybody looks at everybody else's bracket. Now, granted, my bracket, for the most part, blown up. I have 3 out of my Final Four. They were gone early on in this tournament. I still can win the tournament if UConn wins it all. If UConn wins it all, I can still win the tournament. That's all I need is UConn to win it all. And I'm in 4 different tournaments. two of which I will win because of the mass amount of upsets that took place in this tournament this year. So nobody picked it. Everybody kind of picked the same games. Nobody picked UConn, though, to be this far. So because UConn's gone far and the points accumulate as time goes on, I'm giddy because 2 out of the 4 pools that I was in, one of them, my buddy and I, we both pool our money because it's a larger pool, and we have to we each throw in a few $100, we'll say, and we pool our money in that one. If we win that one, I'm excited because there's a whole bunch of people in that one. That pot's pretty large, but I just wonder if all the people that ripped me, some of them being the Marquette fans that ripped the hell out of me, that said UConn's never going to go that far. And I just had this feeling about UConn. They were playing good down the stretch. I've watched them more than a few times. It's just like, boy, they're just, for the right team and the right matchup, they were just a nightmare. And they've proven that. That's my only solace in all of this. Otherwise, I'm like you. I would not have much of a rooting interest. But UConn has given me that hope that, oh, my God, if UConn can if they can beat Miami, I get the feeling now San Diego State's been pretty tough, and they've figured out ways to win. But I think if UConn beats Miami, that UConn is going to be the national title holder, and I will be buying dinner come Tuesday. So now you've got a rooting interest, Ben.
I don't know if I'm going to watch.
I will have DoorDash shipped to you during the show on Tuesday if they end up winning it all.
Okay. I won't say no. I mean, it's baseball season.
Right?
You know?
Yeah.
I'm locked into MLB tonight. I'm locked into Quick Pitch.
Hey, didn't you get a text, or didn't I see somebody had said that you tweeted something out and they used it?
Yeah. I didn't tweet it at them. I watch MLB Tonight every night when I'm not doing something else. I was watching last night and I tweeted, MLB Tonight, the greatest show on television, is back and in fine form, because they were breaking down the mental processes that Shohei Ohtani was going through before throwing a weighted ball. It was hilarious. They're breaking down how he put his sweatshirt on, how he took it off, how he sips water a bit. It was funny. So I tweeted it, and then they put it on the show.
Awesome.
So that was cool. I stayed up last night, actually, later than I've stayed up a very long time during a weekday, and watched some of the Angels athletics game.
Yeah.
Just to get eyes on Shohei. He goes 10 strikeouts through like 6 innings. Angels lose 2-1.
The Angels are an enigma, man. They just have so much. I shouldn't say so much talent. They have got so much money wrapped up in some of their talent, and they've just never been able to completely fortify that team. And even when they have, they've never put it all. They just can't put it together. It is just mind-boggling. They have gone through managers. They have gone through players. It's just like whatever they throw out there, they just can't figure it out. And you almost feel bad. Now, Mike Trout, granted, he's toiling away in L.A., but he's toiling away in L.A. for the wrong team. Mike Trout is just an absolutely fantastic player. Between him and Ohtani, there is 2 huge reasons to go to those games, and nobody cares. The Angels they just stink. They just stunk for a long time. Nobody cares. But man, what talent they have out there in that area, and they just can't figure out ways to win ball games.
I think Ohtani is going to be dealt at the deadline.
You think so?
I mean, their team stinks.
Mm-hmm.
And unless Anthony Rendon turns into Rendon of 4 years ago,
right,
and Renfroe suddenly becomes an all-star, and their pitching staff for the first time in 20 years actually goes through a season pitching well, they're not going to be good. And their division is a murderer's row. It's the Dodgers, I believe. Oh, no, it's in the AL. The Mariners. But the Mariners are really good. So I think he's going to be dealt. He's a free agent at the end of the year. He's leaving anyway. He wants to play for a team that wins.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see him for the largest, like a Juan Soto times 3 haul. I mean, he's the greatest baseball player to ever walk the earth.
Boy, is he? I don't want to get into that. Is he better than guys like Gwynn and Rose, who were so good and so consistent for such a long period of time? Is he better than
either
them?
of them win Cy Young awards?
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's an enigma.
Well, he's a top 3 hitter in the game and a
Right.
top 3 pitcher in the game at the same time.
Mm-hmm. The last one to do something like that pitched.
Right. He's like Babe Ruth if Babe Ruth had a lot more talent.
Right? Put down the hot dogs.
Seriously. Like what? I don't mean to do the young guy crapping on old relics, but the Babe Ruth threw what? Like low 90s?
Oh, pitching
He
has
was
changed.
pitching to dudes that were firemen.
Pitching
Like,
has
they couldn't
changed.
hit.
You can't. You can't. That's like when people want to compare Aaron Rodgers to Bart Starr. You can't. You can't do it because it's just two completely different eras. It's two completely different styles of coaching and for what they ask the quarterbacks to do. It just, you can't do it. They're both great in their own right. But I agree with you. And look at how far technology has come. Would Babe Ruth has hit many home runs or more had he played in today's era? He probably would have hit 800 because they moved the fences in. The cavernous ballparks they used to play in back in the
He
day.
was facing dudes throwing mid-80s.
Okay.
I faced mid-80s in high school.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. But back then, that was fast. Would he have been a better pitcher had he been able to go through the pitching lab that they have today? Putting, those little green balls all over your body and having you pitch and getting your technique and velocity and spin rate and everything down. Would he have been a better hitter with the analytics of launch angle? You can't compare it. You just don't know, because he looked like a fat old man versus these guys that take care of had he had the same nutritionists and the same, resources available, would he have been even better than what he was? You would figure,
But
right?
he didn't,
But he didn't, right?
Yeah, we're working in the real life here.
Right.
No,
I know.
No what ifs.
So anyway, we can sit and drink on this stuff all day without a doubt. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break. We'll come back. A couple of segments to go. Don't forget, coming up in about 10, 15 minutes, what did we miss? And we'll talk with Ben more about that coming up here shortly. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends out there at Point Brewing in Stevens Point and the home of Cider Boys, which Cider Boys,
Me stone cold.
Crisp red apples with fresh strawberries. Cider Boy Strawberry Magic Hard Cider.
Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes.
Everybody's happy. When he was
Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
throws the crutches aside, wipes her face off with a napkin. Welcome back to the program, the Bill Michaels Show. We are live. We're out here at the Lakers Ice Center. We are in Sheboygan. That's where you can find us. It's a Greater Midwest RV show brought to you by our friends at Cunis RV. By the way, just voted as the best RV dealer in the state of Wisconsin. So congratulations to them for that fine accomplishment. Good stuff from them. And let's do this. I got one. This is from Jesse. Jesse says, "Hey guys, I heard you talking earlier about Blake Griffin. He's one of the biggest jags in the NBA, and there's a lot of them." He says he's always got that smirk on his face. Last night, I just wanted to run down on the court when he was shooting his free throws and slap that mouthpiece out of his face. Jesse, I think you and I don't know how many people were left at the time, maybe 6,000, would have loved to do that too. Now, remember, he missed the first one and the place went nuts because nobody likes the guy. The place went crazy, screaming and cheering when he missed that first free throw. But when he made the next one, did you see his reaction when he started clapping and like just taunting the fans, just like emphatically screaming and taunting the fans last night? He's just such a weenie. I hope I'm right before that Eastern Conference Finals series. I'm going to head to a local church and say a couple of novenas, hoping to God that the Bucks are able to get past. The Bucks are going to need home court advantage throughout that thing too, big time. Just hoping to God, and here's the other thing: the Celtics have no fear of the Bucks in Milwaukee, so the Bucks are going to have to protect the home court big time. Because if the Celtics come in and steal one, oh boy, not going to be an easy way to go. Not at all.
So I just, cross your fingers that they're able to get out of that. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Jason said, did you see that Adam Wainwright sang the national anthem? Not a Cardinals fan, but thought that was pretty cool. I did not care. I didn't see it. Ben, did you see it?
I did.
Any thoughts upon there? Oh, speaking of the national anthem, let me step back for a minute. There was a girl last night, and if somebody was at the game last night, please help me out who it was at the Bucs game. Who I think she's 14. She's been singing the national anthem since she was 7. She crushed it. Like young Whitney Houston kind of crushed it. She was fantastic. Whoever she was, let me know. Because, man, she could sing. Oh, so good. So good. Just crushed it last night. But Wainwright? Okay. I'm sure I remember, there was a defensive back that played for Cincinnati. I can't remember the guy's name. But he was a singer. He was a singer in a band. Bronson Arroyo played for the Reds. He's in a band that's actually on tour now with a bigger band, and they're the opening act. I mean, there's quite a few athletes that have been able to sing or play music or whatever, and have been performers in that particular sense.
Oh, Brett Myers.
Brett Myers. Okay.
I guess I would know him better than people here would, I guess.
Yeah.
He was awesome.
No, I'm random dudes. I don't know. Has there ever been a Milwaukee Brewer that's been really astute at, say, playing the guitar or keyboards or something, or singing in general? I can't remember. But who knows? It happens. So Adam Wainwright singing the national anthem. There you go. 877-867-1670. I can't remember I can't remember the guy's name. He was a defensive back, and my God, he was so good. So good at singing or just singing in general. Let's go back to the phone calls. Talk to Fred, listening to us in Green Bay. Fred, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Hi, Bill. Enjoy your program.
Thanks so much.
I got a question for you. Thanks for talking baseball. Who do you think has more lifetime triples? Hank Aaron, Pete Rose, Babe Ruth, Robin Yount.
What about Ohtani?
I have a feeling it's a loaded question. I would go with Robin Yount at this point.
Well, Babe.
Is it Babe?
Babe has 136. Babe Ruth has 136. Robin has 126. Rose has 135. And Hank has 98.
Okay.
Hank said hitting triples is a combination of speed, power in the gaps, and making good decisions on the bases.
Mm-hmm.
The shame of it is every time we see a picture of Babe, he's overweight, and I recognize that. But the guy had 136 triples.
Yeah.
If that doesn't impress you, Martin McGuire went 11 years with no triples. 4,000 at bats.
Yeah, he didn't
He
run
had
long.
6 lifetime triples. So, I know you're not throwing stones at Babe. But what you have to do is factor in the degree of difficulty.
Yeah.
When Bonds hit number 660 to Ty Mays, this was about 20 years ago, in April of 2004, USA Today ran a couple of numbers past us regarding the top 4 home run hitters of all time: Hank, Babe, Willie, and Barry.
Mm-hmm.
In Babe's time, the league hit 1.1 home runs per 100 at-bats. So you give a guy 500 at-bats, the average player in Babe's time was hitting 5 home runs a year. Babe hit 8.5 home runs per 100 at-bats. Hitting 5. Babe was hitting 42. I mean, that is awesome.
Yeah, and you can remember, appreciate the phone call, but you go back then, and that's what I was saying, the size of ballpark back then, the depth of outfield back then was 10, 15, 20 feet bigger. And Babe Ruth was hitting home runs pretty prestigiously back in those days. Yeah, it's.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did Babe Ruth ever strike out Mike Trout? What are we doing here?
It's different eras. He's just merely giving you perspective. That's all.
Has Babe Ruth won a World Baseball Classic
Hey,
MVP?
Does Otani smoke cigars and cigarettes and eat hot dogs during the game?
It's probably a good thing he doesn't.
It's just a comparison of eras. I mean, you look at like Rose. Rose was what when he gave those statistics, Rose was one triple short of tying that record.
Yeah, but he didn't strike out Trout either.
No, he didn't.
That's my point.
No, but he bet on Trout striking out.
Listen, I'm not saying my argument is vacuum sealed airtight, but
You're the
talking points.
You're the kind of guy in a really rough sea that grabs onto the dinghy and doesn't let go no matter what. This dinghy will get me there. I want to get you a shirt. I want to get you a shirt. It says that. Like, this dinghy will get me there. All right, let's do this. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We're going to come back. Hang in there. We got a lot more. Another segment yet to go and more fun and frivolity with one Ben Kenny. What did we miss next on the Bill Michaels Show?
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Jeff, what was the final straw at home that had you call Pella?
I walked into my son's room and there was frost on the hardware on the inside of the house. My wife was getting upset with the drafts coming through the doors. That was it. Putting new windows and doors in your home is a big decision. With all the options that Pella has, everybody on your staff has done a great job of making a really difficult decision super simple. And I can't wait to have him in my house.
Order today and get 0% interest for 48 months. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program, and we are glad you're with us. The Bill Michaels Show continuing on. Final segment before we get out of here. Want to let you know that our friends at Epoxy Flooring and Done Right, it's the place that in my house everybody always hears me talk about short of the windows and says, hey, let's see the floor. They go down to the gym, and sure enough, that's one of the things that everybody seems to really appreciate. And I had it done not that long ago by Sean and the gang, who both do the painting for the room and the floor. They can do it all for you. And I just got to go to epoxyflooringdoneright.com. Whether you're in Sheboygan here, or doesn't matter, go to epoxyflooringdoneright.com. That's epoxyflooringdoneright.com. Or just give them a call, 262-443-2852, 262-443-2852. Ben, let's do it. What did we miss?
All right, I actually have two big pieces of Milwaukee-related news that might be interested. At least one of them might trip your event trigger. Maybe it's something you want to spend a day doing.
Okay.
The first is that Shaka Smart, as the unbiased Big J journalist I am, I must report.
Big J.
He won National Coach of the Year, was announced today, and he won.
Well, congratulations. You know what? Somebody sent that across the live stream a little while ago, but congratulations. He had a hell of a season. Granted, disappointed they didn't get out of the first weekend, but a hell of a season and a heck of a turnaround for the Marquette Golden Eagles in that program. And you would assume it's only going to get better. So I'm already looking forward to college hoops and Marquette basketball next year. And hopefully we're talking about all the programs in the state doing extremely well. But, yeah, kudos to Shaka Smart, man. Hell of a year this year.
More importantly, when it comes to Milwaukee, on April 6th in the Deer District, it is the first annual World Burrito Eating Contest. That is next Thursday. I don't know the time. It is sponsored by Qdoba. All professional eaters will join together and see how many Qdoba burritos they can put down in the allotted time. A notable participant, all-time great professional eater Joey Chestnut.
I was just going to say, is that a Joey Chestnut event? So I get that question answered. Now, that brings up the question. You know what the question is, Ben?
Can we broadcast live from Joey Chestnut's
No,
chair?
I don't want to hear that, because you'll hear breathing and slopping and gorging and grunting, and nobody needs to hear that. I hear enough of that alone when I'm by myself, and trust me, I gross myself out. No, the question then becomes, yes, Qdoba is coming to town, but which do you prefer, Qdoba or Chipotle?
It's Chipotle. It's not even close.
Okay. It's funny because when Qdoba came out, man, it was all Qdoba all the time. I loved Qdoba. Loved it. And then Chipotle came into my life. And, you get that chicken burrito. You get the brown rice, the black beans, get the chicken, get some of the medium sauce. I don't go hot sauce because it'll cause me to wear asbestos underwear later that night. But the sour cream, the heavy cheese, a little bit of light lettuce, a little bit of crunch, and you got yourself something there. And whatever you don't eat, you use it for a pillow. You take it home because they're that big.
Nice.
Oh,
so there was a time when Chipotle did not have queso. So I was a Qdoba eater until Chipotle got queso.
Once they got queso, you were converted. Okay.
I haven't had Qdoba, except I will say Qdoba's taco salads for a time were quite good. And there's a very well-placed Qdoba that's open late at night in downtown Madison next to all the bars.
Yeah,
so it's hard to
there's
avoid.
A Qdoba right near my house. So, I mean, it's closer than the Chipotle by about maybe a half a mile. I'll go to the Qdoba every now and then. I'll admit that. I don't mind going to Qdoba, but Chipotle, if I have my druthers, I go to Chipotle. But
all right, so
there's no segue out of that.
I've nothing more on burritos.
Okay.
If anybody wants to do something fun with their Thursday afternoon, go down to the Deer District and see Joey Chestnut vomit burrito all over the place. It'll be more interesting than when Wisconsin played their tournament game there against Iowa State.
with the same result.
You throw up at the end?
Yeah.
So you mentioned that Gwyneth Paltrow won the trial.
Yes.
I believe she won her countersue for $1.
Yes.
It was just for the sake of countersuing. And on the way out, she said something along the lines of like, have a nice life.
Yes.
Like F off.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is incredible.
It was, I thought that she said it to the guy's attorney. Like, I can't remember what the exact words were, but it was kind of, when we were talking about it earlier, people were saying she said it to the guy's attorney, like, I wish you the best or something like that, meaning this guy's a jag and now you still have to deal with him. But yeah, she won the countersuit for $1, and the judge basically awarded her in the lawsuit the attorney's fee. Well, they're working on the total, but basically the attorney's fee. So the guy lost both counts. She won the countersuit, and the guy turned out to be a total liar, a total jag, and now he's very well known as being just the ass among asses.
I mean, most importantly, it seems like he's a bad skier.
Well, he's a black diamond skier too, and some are saying that he did this on purpose. That he ran into her on purpose. Yeah. And here's the worst part about it. She had her kids with her. Do you know that?
I did, yeah.
She had her kids with her, man. The guy skis right into her and the kids, takes everybody down. And a ski instructor. And the instructor was there and testified on behalf of Gwyneth Paltrow to say, no, this guy just came out of nowhere and started clubbing people. Took everybody down. Just amazing.
I mean, this guy's giving me ideas of, if it comes down to it. Here's the thing, Bill. I've been landed on by snowboard. I've gotten in crashes. It's never been my fault. It's always been a snowboarder's fault. And that is why I have some sort of agenda against the art of snowboarding.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, where it's happened, it's been on a small little hill in western Pennsylvania where I don't think that there are millions of dollars hiding behind an actress's door. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it hasn't really been worth the effort to sue, even though now I might think about it.
Yep. Well, now you got to consider it. Go down, ride around in pain on with the leg, and then, tell them they took your knee out. Something to that
Bill,
effect.
I'm receiving some correspondence right now that I don't know how to pronounce Qdoba.
Isn't it just Qdoba? Is the Q whole or
It might be
Qdoba?
Qdoba. It might be Qdoba. But I'm getting direct messages saying that I don't know how to
Put it this
pronounce
way. I've always said 95% of the people know what you're talking about and don't really care. They're like, okay, he's got it. He knows what the hell he's talking about. We just, he's not pronouncing it correctly. That's fine.
Yeah,
that's like Chipotle. It's either Chipotle, Chipotle. I mean, nobody knows how to pronounce the hell that thing. And even the workers will differ at times. You walk in and just ask them randomly, how do you pronounce the name of this restaurant? Usually that should be training 101. This is what how our store's pronounced. But I've gone to the Chipotle up the street from me and they pronounced it wrong.
The real question is, everybody knows I have no clue what I'm talking about anyway. So if I mispronounce something, it falls in line with anything else. I'll send correspondence to ask why they care.
All right.
The last comment. We have Live Orlando this week, Bill.
Oh, geez.
Put that on the power ranking of things to do in Orlando. Include every theme park and then probably Live.
I'd rather
playing on a local muni.
I would rather put a strategically placed crock in an area of my body and then slam it in the car door than watch the Live Golf Tour.
It would actually defend that part of your body given its texture. So,
all right.
Nice try, buddy.
All right. That'll do it. Time for us to go. Have a great weekend. You got Brewers baseball tomorrow, Final Four tomorrow, Bucks basketball on Sunday, championship game Monday night. We'll be back discussing it all come Monday. Thanks to everybody coming out here to the Lakers Ice Center, and keep coming out here all weekend to the Cunis RV Greater Midwest